Welcome to the Main Character Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Hamblin, main character of my own story. But this podcast isn't about me. It's about you, and all of you. Every person that has ever lived on this planet, all 8 billion people here now, all that came before us, and all that will come hereafter are the main characters in their own story. My aim is to interview people that embody living in their energy and discovering from their perspective what their perception of reality is like. Buckle up. You're about to experience the world through another main character's eyes. I always like in the beginning to do like a reflection of, it is such a treat to get to see you Monday through Friday and on an occasional Saturday, because we work together, Jen. Yeah. And you are one of my most favorite people I've ever worked with. You've got amazing energy. Our conversations are fantastic. You are this, does this person have main character energy? You are the main character in your story. And you display that every single day. You've done a ton of stuff. You've been in banking, which people go, oh, you're a banker. It's not boring, guys.
It is not.
It is an adventure every day. And we got to make friends all the time. And so you've got to be outgoing and personable and all those fun things. And you are certainly those. You are and were a front lady, singing your heart out, a mother, cancer survivor. I mean, we can go down the list. You are kick-ass. Jen is kick-ass. So we're going to explore that and how you got to be you.
Oh, wow. Probably started with my upbringing.
Oh, yeah. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a Spokaneite, right? Is that?
Yes.
They are Spokaneite. See, I can't even say it right. Spokaneite.
We lived in the outskirts of Hillyard. We fondly referred to it as Lower Esmeralda Estates.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not the name of it, but that's okay. So we had Hillyard and Dogtown kind of surrounding us.
Yeah.
And so I had a blue collar family, you know, the sister, the brother.
And where are you in birth order?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest?
Mm-hmm.
One brother, one sister?
Just one brother.
One brother.
Yeah,
okay.
One brother.
Yep.
And we were lucky to have just the greatest parents known to man.
I love that.
So yeah.
I've met your mom. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Have I met your dad? Maybe your dad swung by once.
I don't think so. He's really tall.
Oh yeah, I'd probably remember.
Yeah. You should see my mom and dad dance. My mom's on her tippy toes, and
she could probably just get on his feet.
Yeah, she should.
Yeah,
you know? But we always used to, when growing up, we'd go to the Eagles, and they'd have dances and stuff. And, or we were into classic cars, so we went to the car shows and stuff with friends of ours.
Those are great.
Yeah, and we would have the little dances, and my mom was like tippy toe, and it was hilarious.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said blue collar. What does your dad do, or did he do when you were growing up? What about your mom?
So my dad, the majority of the time, worked at a tire company. Cool. At the time called Lloyd's Tires. It's no longer there anymore. And then after several years of doing so, he owned his own metal fabrication factory.
Cool.
With my uncle, and it was called CRS, and fondly also referred to as can't remember. Can I say the word?
Yeah, you can
shit?
say the word.
Can't remember shit. And so that was more along the lines of junior high and stuff. And it was kind of cool to go in there and learn how they make things with sand and metal, the forming of so anyways.
That would be fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things I left off of the description is you are crafty. You just got done with an amazing Purple Heart shadow box.
Yes. Yeah. I was with the help of Joseph.
Yes.
My wonderful man.
Yeah. The two of you, it's power couple time.
We have a lot of fun doing crafty things and coming up with fancy ways to make things look good. We do a lot of refurbishing as well. So if it's an old dining table, or a coffee table, we're able to
spice it up
and
bring it back to life,
break it down and make it into something that's worth, worth something to us.
Right.
Not like monetarily.
Well, but I mean, it is that too. But it is fun. Well, and that's one of my, I love hearing about your projects.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's an extension of, you saw people being crafty with their hands, making cool stuff out of sand and metal to get this thing.
Yeah. I always said that my dad, you give him a piece of thread, he'll make you a seat. He's just like that type of person where it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do this, and he does. I mean, he's rebuilt classic cars and stretched frames out for a Lamborghini kit car and like all these really, really cool things you see your dad do. And then he kind of supported that in us as well. So when I got my Mustang back in the day, he taught me how to change the tires, change the oil, look at the spark plugs, like everything that you would need to know. He's like, I want you to be able to do this and be independent of anyone else. Because, and that, I think that gave me the ability to be the person that's like, well, I don't know if I can do it, but I'll try it. My next door neighbor is like, is there anything that you and Joe can't do? And I'm like, I don't know. We haven't tried it yet. So,
but we're willing to try.
Yeah. And I got that from that. And
what a good quality and how empowering.
Yeah. And my mom, it's great because she was always there for us. So it was a very, I don't know what you would call it, like a traditional sort of family. And
it sounds supportive and allowed you to explore and become. And
which was good because it was right around second or third grade. I ended up getting really sick and I would be walking and I'd fall down and I couldn't get back up.
Oh.
Kind of like those commercials. So they found out I had poliomyelitis. And so for like 2 years, I was going through physical therapy and they were sticking needles in my muscles to see where,
that's always fun.
What was going on. I was excellent. I loved it.
Oh, your favorite thing.
It was my favorite thing. That's why when people say acupuncture is so great, I'm like, I don't think I want that.
That's the only one of the modalities that I'm like, I know it works and it fixed a spot in my low back, but man, you can do anything to me. I hate needles.
Yeah.
It's not I broke my jaw when I was 5, they were in my mouth, stabbing my gums, doing all that, and just aversion to needles ever since. And so I can imagine for 2 years getting checked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still love needles?
I don't like them at all, but I mean, I've gotten a little bit used to them, the last 4 or 5 years. But,
right. Yeah.
But cause I had to have my blood taken every single week.
Oof.
To check my numbers. So,
yeah. So, and what is recovery from? I mean, you said PT, does it have a lingering effect? Because I haven't noticed it. And
it does. Well, it doesn't. I've never been the most flexible person.
Okay.
Like people can touch their toes and I'm like, good for you.
I got my ankles, my shins.
My shins basically is where it is. It's not even the ankles. Don't give me enough credit. Okay. Don't give me that much credit. No, but after a while it went away. But I think, and I'm only bringing this up because I feel like this made me who I am.
Yeah.
Kids are really, really mean, right?
Yes.
It's called lightning legs and all kinds of stuff. And people were afraid. And I think they were afraid that they were going to get whatever I had, like it was something
contagious,
catchy, like Ebola,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's, you're not going to bleed from your eyeballs being around me.
Right.
Like it's okay, and so, so that was a little rough through like third grade to about sixth grade. It was kind of like that, but then it gave me that tough exterior that I have today.
Yeah.
Going through everything that I've gone through my life, it all stems from my ability to get through that moment in time when I was pretty young.
Right. Well, and those are the formative years, right?
Absolutely.
Born through 7-ish, you're in a theta state. And so you're a blank computer that your family, your culture, your religion, those experiences, that shapes, okay, this is how I'm supposed to perform in this reality that I'm in. So this is what I know.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
let's
so,
ride.
yeah, that makes sense that would have a big impact.
It did. And then, at junior high, it started to kind of go away and dissipate. And then, the 4 years of high school, at one given time, I had 3 jobs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm like that family on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. You're lazy. You only have like 8 jobs. And yeah. That was me.
That was you.
And back then I was quite the little environmentalist conservatist. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, my friend and I, a really good friend of mine, Jason, we started a recycling program at Rogers High School where I went.
Yeah.
And, Department of Ecology caught wind and they're like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So they actually hired us. Hired us.
Cool.
And I think it was only like 10 hours a week, but we were making bank because at the time, $4.25 an hour was the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Just think about raising a family on that one.
Yeah. No.
And then we were making close to $8 an hour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I was rolling in the
I
dough.
was going to say.
Yeah. And then, I worked at McDonald's as well.
Yeah.
I would get off school at 12:30 because I already had all my credits. I did 0 hour to 7th hour, or, I did, 8 periods or 9 periods actually, junior or freshman and sophomore year
To set yourself up.
to set myself up.
Yep.
And then I ended up being able to get out and do the 12:30. And then I also worked for a recycling company on top of it.
Oh my gosh.
So
You were busy.
I was really busy. I
Yeah,
got myself,
but
and
also
then I was in
rolling in it.
drama and I was in choir.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Shivas and Jazz Choir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gabe just got back from is it Lionel Hampton?
Ooh, yeah, I love the Lionel
down at
Hampton
Moscow?
Festival. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've gone.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
were you doing it then? Was that
Yeah,
running
yeah.
then?
So
yeah. With the jazz choir?
we actually competed.
Cool.
Yeah, we got pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
We didn't, we weren't the star of the show, but man, there was some really great bands that came afterwards. And if I remember right, I think Take 6 actually came to the Lionel Hampton Festival, and that's when I just absolutely fell in love with them. And because I love acapella.
Oh,
I think
it's so good! What a cool
so
skill!
Cool the way that you can do what you do, and so yeah, there was some great people that came and performed for us that night, and
yeah,
it's just awesome.
When did you? Because that plays into adult life as well. When did you discover your love of music and singing? And
well, I started to feel it when I was in junior high, and everybody told me that I had a horrible voice back then. And I'm like,
but you pushed through.
Oh, I did. I was like,
screw you. I'm having fun.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I, and so
there's a lot of bravery there because I'm like, okay, no, people don't like my voice. So I'm just going to save this for the shower and inside the car by myself. I did not push through. That's why I'm a drummer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We need you to.
Yeah.
No cowbell.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I got into music, is that. And then I was a restaurant manager for, God, I hated that time and career of my life. But anyways, I was at the mall, Northtown Mall.
Yeah.
And met Bobby there, and that ended up being my guitar player for Back to 3.
Cool.
And we composed 26, 27 songs over the years, and Mike, my drummer, went to school with me.
Cool.
At Rogers, and I think he was actually the drummer for Shivison. And then yeah, so we just kind of got together and started doing that, and we're house band for, at the time it was called Great Scott on 57th and Regal.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And
is this your 20s? Is this like coming out of high school? Is this
this is in my 20s.
20s. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then I had jazz, and I kind of stepped away from that rock lifestyle.
Well, it's kind of hard to be mom and
it is.
House
I
band.
mean, and jazz was my rock band at that time.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's well said.
I wanted to be the rock star of her life. And, and it, you know, and I'm glad when she was a baby, I actually got a phone call to ask if I wanted to tour on all the naval ships and
that would have been fun.
But which it would have been fun, but I was like, I'm not going to leave my baby at home, you know? And so, and I didn't even think of it as a sacrifice. Like if you think that, you know,
right.
I sacrificed, it's not a sacrifice. It was something that I wanted to do. And, cause I wanted to instill, value in my daughter, you know, and that was more important to me.
Yeah.
So, I did not, and, remained doing some stuff. Occasionally we kind of simmered down on the rock star. Just cause, you know, and we still get together occasionally. We had a Bobby's 50th about a year and a half ago. And then, my drummer was married to his beautiful wife, Emily. And, so we played for their wedding.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I look back at the pictures and I'm like, my goodness, my hair was so short.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was, and it's only been a couple of years. So I'm like, what the heck?
Well, and I've only ever known you with long hair.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll hop into that here in a second.
Yeah.
And how we got there.
Yeah.
But it's weird how we go through different phases in life.
Uh-huh.
Like I look back at, right, we have a Facebook portal downstairs, and it's always sliding through all of our photos from the cloud. And, you know, it's seeing the kids half their height, and it felt like, well, that could have been decades ago, or it could have been a year ago, right?
Yeah,
like it's just that or your hair or whatever it is. We go through so many different phases.
When you started talking about portals, I'm like, you're not like Lori Vallow and Chet. Are you? Like, is this going to go there?
Yeah. In fact, we're going to be doing a thing later today. We'll open some portals.
Oh, great.
You ready?
Fantastic. Yeah.
That's how like half the bad horror films start, isn't it? We've opened a portal to another dimension.
Nothing bad here. Nothing can go wrong. Oh, my Lord.
Well, and that was the same thing for me. You know, Rachel and I got married young, and we agreed not to have kids for 5 years. And that was my rock star phase. I was touring, playing in the band, doing all that fun jazz. And then we hit just before that 5-year mark, and it was, do I keep pursuing this? And it was doing well. And I like that there's another version of me somewhere in the multiverse that became a rock star instead. But we decided to start having kids at the 5-year mark.
Yeah.
And it's not a sacrifice.
No,
right?
It's
like
not. It's the greatest experience in the whole entire world.
Best.
And that's, you know, and I, you know, with jazz, I wanted to instill in her ethics, integrity, value.
Yeah.
So, you know, I needed to be there. And as she grew, I mean, my daughter was speaking in sentences at 12 months.
Oh, cool.
I didn't talk to her like a baby.
No, you just,
you know, we had great conversations. When she did something bad, it was a 45-minute, you know, how could you have done something different? How do you think that made that person feel, you know, and stuff. And I think it really has made her the person that she is today.
For sure.
And, you know, although people would roll their eyes and go, gosh, no, you know, with all the things that I would do, but you know, there's value in it.
There's value in it. And I've always said that the greatest title, honorific, I think that's the right way to say that, role that you can play is mother.
Yeah.
Because you get to, and fathers do this too, obviously, but mothers are the nurturer, and they get to shape children. And one of my favorite sayings is some people's kids, right? Like even as adults, like, how did you get here? Your parents. Yeah. And so to be so intentional about that and go, raising this awesome little human. They're going to be awesome because ethics and morals and all. How do I shape this clay?
Yeah.
To be somebody cool that I get to gift humanity with, and I get to hang out with until the day I die.
Yeah, and she was pretty good to everybody, and that made me feel good. She don't get me wrong, she has a little bit of smartassery.
Is that from you or from her father?
I
or
think
both?
It's a little bit of both. Mine was more the intellectual smartassery.
Oh yeah,
so,
good.
Yeah, but she would always. I mean, she would be quiet when she was a kid, and then she'd be hanging out with all of us at a barbecue or camping. We did a lot of camping, lots and lots of camping.
We have so many good spots here.
It's so good. But she would just all of a sudden just say something out of the blue that everybody's like, Jazz, that was funny. And then there was times that I was like, Jazz, that was funny, but kind of a little inappropriate for, what you just said. And and I was telling you about it's horrible. I call it the Hitler mustache because when she would say something or do something that was absolutely inappropriate but funny, I had to go
right because you don't want
to, And there was one time she was in school, and her friend, which is my best friend's nephew, they put mustaches on a certain president on a poster that was hanging. And in glasses, and so they got called down to the principal's office, and it was a big fat deal apparently. And I'm like, okay, you shouldn't do stuff like that. I completely understand. So that was one day that I had to use the
it was hilarious.
Like, what are you doing underneath that hand, Mom? Well, you're getting too smart for that. So now I gotta hold my composure when I'm talking to you. Like, you cannot draw mustaches and eyeglasses on a president on a Scholastics
we
poster.
All want to.
Yes, it was. Fantastic.
That's so good. Well, and what I love is she still lives in the area.
Yeah.
So I take it you guys see each other, hang out. She's one of your favorite people.
She is.
Yeah.
I just said something about somebody being my best friend, and she's like, "Excuse me, I'm your best friend." And I'm like, yes, you're right. And I'm a firm believer that you should not be your child's best friend when they are under the age of 18.
Yes. When you're raising them, there's a line there.
But she's in adulthood. She's, 24 and I can understand now that that's completely okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
and if you did your job as a parent, then they should be somebody you really like as an adult.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think she's 23 going on to 24. I don't know. She'll correct me on this.
Somewhere right
She'll
there.
be like, Mom, you don't even know how old I am. Half the time I don't even know how old I am.
I'm like, I'm late 30s.
Something.
37,
I don't know.
38, 39. I don't know.
Look at my license and do some subtraction.
I was always so offended when my dad couldn't remember like my birthday or how old I was. He's like, you're January and you're, whatever. You're
happy
old.
Birthday month.
Yeah, happy birthday. Actually, I should probably give him more credit. He's a little bit better than that. But I have the hardest time. I'm like, I think I know how old my kids are. Half their birthdays, though. I'm like, it's either the 27th or 25th.
It's right around here. That's my nieces, my poor nieces. I have 5 nieces, and the only way that I know is either from their Facebook or from somebody saying, hey, it's Abigail's birthday today, and I'm like, crap, suck as an ant.
I'm right there with you.
And I call them and I sing happy birthday in a weird voice.
Yeah, as one does.
Or like the younger ones, I'm like, I hear it's Mariah's birthday today, Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
It's my birthday, so
play with them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like teasing them.
Are they all in the area?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all have like different little personalities, and it's the cutest little thing in the whole entire world.
Isn't it the best?
Oh yeah. They're just little people of their own. And last week I saw a picture come up on Facebook, and I'm looking and I'm like, Mariah and Grace no longer look like babies. Not babies, but like they're in their teens now, and I'm like, you're losing that child face, and you're becoming an adult, and it just reminds me that I'm getting old.
Yeah, I don't need those reminders because every time I feel, No, I'm young. I'm young. It's all a mindset.
I'm young.
Yeah.
Yep.
Young at heart.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's so fun. I love that. So you've got younger nieces, older nieces.
Yeah. I've got, 22 or 23-year-old, a 21-year-old. And then they go down from there and.
Yeah. So you've got the width and breadth of, you still get to experience all that.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure Jazz here sooner rather than later. You'll probably have a grandbaby.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a month ago, you're like, yeah, she might be.
I
always have my fingers crossed because my happy place is right here.
Yep.
I don't care whose baby, but although when it's a grandbaby, that'll be even more fun.
Yeah.
I just want a baby. I love babies.
Yeah. So when Jazz was younger, little baby, handed it over to my friend Bobby. Not it, Jasmine. Over to my it.
Sometimes they are it's.
Yeah.
And
depends on how much sleep you can get. No, I handed over and all of a sudden Bobby's like, Bobby had a baby and its head popped off. And I'm like, okay, give me back my baby.
Give it back. Oh, that's too good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said something earlier that I think is really important, and I'm curious because it is such a humanity level thing that I've just really deep dived into, is the ethics and the morals. And you already said you had awesome parents.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were leaving our religion, that was one of my main concerns on raising kids is, okay, hold on. I think I get my ethics and my morals and my worldview and the structure from this religion. And it could be something as basic as the Ten Commandments, right? Thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
Well, why the heck do we need religion to tell us don't kill? Is that not just humanity, or is that something that we have to get from those values?
It used to be that way. Right. I feel like for eons, those were just instilled in our culture, and it had to do with religion, right. like my dad came from a Catholic family. My mom came from Christian family.
Okay. A denomination of any particular magnitude?
No, not really. It was more non-denominational Christian. Okay. And then my dad, my Uncle Johnny was a deacon of a Catholic church.
Okay.
And two of my cousins work for the diocese and the local, and but I think a lot of my values are from both of those religions, but I think it was just instilled because we never really went to church all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not, and I believe in God, but I don't believe that I have to be in four walls to believe and pray and worship him.
Right.
So
you don't need that structure of a particular
I just don't.
Church.
Yeah. Because I still feel like, anyways.
You have a direct connection.
Yeah.
Yep. Why do you need
exactly
something in between?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, and was that encouraged because you said you guys didn't go to church a ton, and that's another one where I go, okay, you've got this one version of religion and this one version. When those two people get together, how do they end up raising their kids, and what does stick, what doesn't stick? And so they were just moral people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
with little different flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all, they were all the same, just be nice to people is basically, at the very end of the day. And I always say, you do you, boo. You know? But as long as you're a good person, you're not murdering somebody, you're not raping somebody, you're not stealing from somebody. You're a good, solid person.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
There it is. Yeah.
That's it.
That's how I kind of inform my politics is freedom, right? That's one of the great, that's absolutely why I love the US is life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And I that's not overly complicated, and we make it overly complicated. You do you, boo, right? Don't hurt other people.
Yeah.
I don't care what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. Just go do you.
Yeah.
But it's not, for me, it's all about the character and the heart of the person.
Yeah.
And I think if we just came to a point where we could we could connect and communicate and be that,
Yeah.
we'd be a much better world. And I think that the discouraging thing for me is I see a lot of values being sucked out of the universe. And I think values are the things that it's the glue to our humanity and our foundation. And I don't know.
Okay. So I'm curious. We're going to deep dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
You said feels like it's getting sucked out. What do you mean by that?
I feel like everybody's very selfish these days. They don't have the ability to love and care for people and understand that everybody has different opinions.
Right.
I have friends from every walk of life.
Yep.
Every walk of life. And I value them because of who they are inside.
Yeah.
And how they treat me. And I think we have lost that ability in some ways. Not everybody.
Right.
But it seems like it's getting more. And I think it's driven by media, to be perfectly honest.
Oh yeah.
And social media, like, you know, all of our platforms that we have to tell us how horrible of people we are, or what, right. You know, whatever the case may be, you know, I think it's driven us to, for the lack of a better word, deplete our values as a society.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting point because, right, there used to be a couple channels on the TV for decades, feels like.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was even the fairness doctrine, right, where you had to have, if you were going to have this point of view, you had to have an equal amount of time for the other point of view. And so everything kind of ran through mainstream media for decades, right?
Yeah.
And then with social media, everybody gets to go into their particular echo chamber.
Yeah.
Right. And the algorithm
okay.
even feeds it.
Yeah.
And so my best friend, total opposite end of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
And that's how we start our conversation sometimes is, what are you hearing in your echo chamber? Just so that we can compare notes and be like, okay, well, let's pick this story that just broke. Here's the angle that I'm hearing. And I know I'm only getting that angle. What's the angle on your side?
Yeah, because then you can come together and figure out exactly what it is instead of having fear. And I think that's the thing where, you know, we talked about fear mongering, you know, back in the day, and mudslinging and in presidential elections, you know, back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And, you know, it used to be just posters.
Right.
And now it's TV ads that are very one-sided, and I'm talking both sides too.
Yeah.
And I tell people this is like, you know, it's not just one side at this point. It is shame on all of you. Go to the corner and think about this.
And think about what you've done.
And then come back and then, you know, and then have a discussion, kind of like those discussions that I used to have with Jasmine when she was a little kid.
Right.
You know?
This one where most parents would just reprimand, and it would be 30 seconds on you go, 45 minutes, because let's explore this.
Yeah.
So you can like think about it.
Yeah. And the frustrating thing is that when we see things that upset us, we tend to say things, and I do this sometimes too. I'm just as bad, that maybe we really don't necessarily feel, but we're saying it in anger. And I don't think that that's okay either.
Yeah.
But I think all of this manipulation by the media is causing it. And then AI is making it even more interesting.
Yeah,
I'll just say that. Because you don't know. You
Right.
don't know. And it's getting better and better every single day. So you just don't know.
Right.
Is this really this person?
Right.
You know, and sometimes you can tell by kind of the glitches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it has gotten way better. And how are we as citizens, as humans, where are the boundaries that we're gonna go? Enough is enough. And you know,
well, and that pendulum's always swinging, right?
It is.
And everything wants balance. Right. Our bodies want homeostasis. Nature wants balance. Just everything comes back to, as soon as that pendulum swings too far one side, you're going to have an equal and opposite reaction. And
Absolutely.
and can we get to the point where that pendulum finally settles?
Or even just a little teeny wiggle is fine.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the one thing about our lives, there's yin and yang in everything that we do.
Yeah.
And,
well said.
And if we all felt the same, looked the same, believed the same, did the same, we would never be able to expand and create and grow as a society.
That is so well said. Well, and I think we do sometimes want that, right? Like, why can't you just do it my way? If everybody just listened to me, it would be better. If. Well, no, you need the dark and the light. You need the opposite of whatever you think. Because that's how you
come up with great things.
Yeah.
You know, electricity would not have been made if we didn't have somebody looking at the positives, the negatives, and doing everything that he did to work so hard to make it so that we have this light that's shining to make my complexion look better than it really actually is.
It is lovely, by the way. And it is always lovely. But yeah, the lighting's not terrible.
Yeah. We need one of these in the office. But yeah, that's where it is.
I like that. Well, and that's one of the things I think about all the time. And that was a major, it was very easy for me to label things as bad. I don't want this thing. This thing shouldn't happen. It would be better if it was my way, whatever it was. And I think that's where I've had a lot of growth, is realizing, oh no, having the opposite is good because it gives that perspective.
Yeah. Just listening to the opposite too.
Listening to for sure.
You know, and I think that's the thing. If we could find people that were more balanced to run our countries and our states, I think that we would do a better job. Instead of right now, there's so much theatrics in politics, and I'm like, I don't want somebody theatrical. I want somebody that values our country just as much as I value it, and does not want to see the heart, the integrity of our United States torn apart. And right now it's like we torn the flag in half.
Yeah.
And that's like, visualize that.
Yeah. Well, it feels like we have a digital civil war.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is. It's you've split that flag right down the middle.
Yeah. And what I've been doing, I'll watch a little bit. I'll hear something and I'll go on and I'll, because I always do, I look at conservative, liberal media, and then I look at outside our country media.
Oh yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
And then I can kind of piece everything kind of together.
Right.
It might be not 100%, but then when somebody says something, I can go, well, actually, you're right on that, but this is actually what's happening.
Right. Consider this other piece too.
Yeah. Consider this, you know? And so I do that, but also I have been kind of stepping back.
That's smart too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's part of the anxiety. We talked about the anxiety and the fact that, I was feeling a lot of it, starting at the end of December, 1st January. I came in a couple of times and said, hey guys, sorry, I'm a hot mess today. I think stepping back from that has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Although most of my time is spent listening to true crime. So I don't know if that's good either.
That is another thing that I love. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So I want to come back to that, but just really quick, just putting a button on something there. Okay. It is good to take a break from it, right? Because we can get so deep into it, and then it's there's been a couple of things lately. There was a kid that was just stabbed in a tent.
Yes.
And then that becomes a racial thing.
Yes.
And it's like, it's so easy to every day. What's the update? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened at the news conference. Oh my gosh, like really?
Yeah, I think sometimes we have to step back because
take a social media break fast. Yeah.
And I think it's gotten worse and worse and worse. So there was a gal that I know, and she's a healing person and in Spokane. And she had talked about the fact, and she's right, because she had told me somebody else, and I don't know who it is, but I'm just going to say that whoever it was, thank you for saying this, because it's true. Us as human beings are not meant to go out of our little tribes,
No.
our little communities.
Right.
And so we are not, if we just stayed in our own little colonies, like back, in the 1800s, nobody really knew what was going on in other cities or towns
We'd be
or
worrying
whatever.
about Spokane.
We would be worried about Spokane.
And whatever happens down in Phoenix or in Houston or in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right.
And so now that we have media, we have gone from maybe 1,000 people in our little community, our little bubble, to millions and billions of people. I don't even know how many is in the United States. Should probably look that up.
340 million.
Okay. And then in the world,
8 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we have to worry about 8 billion people.
Right.
And what's going on with them when our bodies can't do that.
No. Well, we're taking on the weight of the world.
Yes. We're overstimulated.
Yeah.
To the max.
Overconsumption of information.
Yep.
And where we should, and it's easy to get overwhelmed and go, oh my gosh, I want to fix this. And oh my gosh, how do we take care of it? How do I raise my daughter? That's where you can have direct impact on the world, is your children, your spouse, your family, your neighbors, the people that you have daily, regular interactions with. That's who you're supposed to love on. That's who you support each other. And it does take a village, right? Like that. So maybe focus on the village
is really important
instead of the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And giving them the ability to have the values that they need in order to live a productive society, or productive life in society. Yeah. If I could come up with I'd love to solve the world's problems.
Oh,
but,
yeah. I've always said if I had one, like, how do I fix the world? I just want to teach the world how to drive. That's one area where I think
you are a very quick driver.
I am conscientiously aggressive.
Yes. I'm called Grandma.
Oh, so, are you?
Yes,
I don't think I've ever driven behind you or with you. Maybe I have.
Well, I was heading downtown a couple of days ago, and you were heading to, I believe, Durkin or whatever that place is.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm in the middle lane, and here comes Brandon. Just
you didn't? I didn't see you.
I would wave, but I'm probably a blur right now. But no, it's fine. It's fine. But at least, you drive like you're not driving 100 miles an hour.
No,
and
I'm not
creating havoc. And
actually, this ties into what you just said. So we were just back over on the west side, and I became a completely different. What you saw is the chill version of me. I sometimes I hang out. Sometimes I'm in the slow lane. I don't ride people's asses nearly as much as I used to. I am a calm version here because some of it is, I don't know who's going to see me on the road, because everybody knows everybody here in the Inland Northwest.
Yes.
Right? There's 1 degree of separation. If you screw up, word's going to get around.
Yep.
West side, there are so many people that was my biggest complaint in a lot of the cities where I was a branch manager, was like, where's the city center? Where's the sense of cohesion? Where's the sense of togetherness? There's so many people that it's so hard to feel connected that you're just disconnected.
Yeah.
Where here, there is connection.
There is. And a lot less.
A lot less than there used to.
20 years ago.
I was going to say, you've seen it change.
Oh, gosh, yes. However, like, Spokane still has this. Like, I meet you and I'm like, what's up with you? And then diagnosing. Yes, diagnosing. Like, my scan is going, like, okay, what do you want?
Yeah.
And then after, exactly. But after you get to the point where you connect, there's long lasting relationships in that. And people here value others. And I'm not saying that nobody else does throughout, I'm not saying that. My opinion is that Spokane, we we believe in loyalty.
Yeah.
We're very relationship driven, but it does take a little bit of time to get into that inner circle.
Yeah.
Because that's just who we are,
You're going to laugh at this. When I came over here, I had been to Spokane a couple times and always equated Spokane to kind of Tacoma, where people identify with which high school did you go to?
Yep. Within 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And there's that sense of, oh, you went to Rogers? Well, I went to that, right? And like, there's just like some built-in competition, but it's friendly.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Ooh, that's a really hard school. And I'm like, it wasn't that bad.
and definitely boomed at one point, then fell on hard times, and there's some blue collarness, and it's up, and sometimes all the storefronts are full, and then sometimes half of them are empty, and like there's some ebb and flow to the sense of the city.
Yeah.
Nothing like Seattle's just big, crazy, whatever.
Yeah,
so Tacoma was kind of my like Spokane sister city, but over on the west side, there's like that cold freeze where you can meet somebody and that initial conversation is actually very friendly. And then, oh yeah, you should come over. We should do dinner. We should go out and have coffee, whatever. And you never hear from that person ever again.
Like a disingenuine.
Very, very disingenuous. Yeah. We're here, and I think it's something that's helped maintain what the Inland Northwest is. When I was coming over here, I remember driving down I-90 and looking out, and I don't know like any of the parts of the city or the businesses or anything. And I just remember going, oh, I can come over here because I'm going to be able to get all sorts of business. And this is going to be, I'm just going to go knock on doors. This is going to be great. Look, this is awesome. No.
You have 2 years?
Well, yeah, I've been here now.
Really, honestly, that's, it's literally 2 years of knocking on doors and 7 pairs of shoes later.
Yeah.
Then you start to see the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
Because we are like those types of people. And I have to say, I used to spend a lot of time in Clarkston, Lewiston, Dayton, those areas too at my previous financial institution.
Yep.
And exactly the same there, like we need to get to know you.
Yes, you have to have a relationship.
You. There has to be a trust.
Yes.
Seattle, I would do commercial lending over there at my prior institution, and it's more transactionally
way
driven.
More transactional.
So it's not, it's like just give me the money and I just want to move on.
Yep.
And so there's no, I mean, and I say that, but there's a handful of them that I actually still talk to.
Yes.
But it's just a handful. Out of 98 people in my portfolio, probably 4 to 5 of them are people that I still continue to have conversations with over on the other side.
On the other side. And I think it's both a feature and a benefit of how that works here, because it kind of weeds out fake people.
Yeah, it does.
Right. And that scan that you were talking about earlier, that takes time to really go, okay, this is do you know anything about me? Do we relate on things? Oh yeah. And I know your spouse and your kids, and how was soccer last week? And if you do not become genuinely relational and friends and attached, people won't just do business just to do business.
No.
Which is actually, I think it's awesome.
And that's, when your clients refer to you as my friend Jen is my banker. And because that's how they feel. It's very, very relationship oriented.
Yep.
As it should be. And I'm never a transactional person.
No,
anyways.
I'm not that way either.
I'd rather not make money.
No.
Make money.
Making money is great.
Pay bills.
And if you just want to bring in a deal to me, I'll definitely do it.
Exactly.
But I want to be engaged. I want to, we're going into a partnership.
Yeah. I want to connect.
This means something.
Yeah. And
I want to see you thrive.
Yeah. And if we don't connect and there is headbunting, I have no problem engaging you with somebody else that might be more your style of banker.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you feeling that you're stuck with me, and I certainly do not want to be stuck with you.
No, and we've had clients like that.
Yes, we all. Yes.
I don't want this person in my book.
Yes.
As soon as this loan can be refied or paid off, I'm out.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. When your phone rings and you're like,
oh no. Yeah.
Anyways.
How do I see this out? Oh man. Okay. Well, we're going to, I'm going to get you unplugged. And so we're going to take a brief sponsor break.
Awesome.
And we'll get you dried off.
Sweet.
All right. And we're back.
Well, and we should probably tell everybody why I was drying off.
Why we just took the break.
Yeah. Because that was kind of an odd, we're going to take a break so that we can get Jen dried off. And it's just like, what?
What are we talking about? Okay, so I'll set everybody up. So when Rachel worked for her first chiropractor, best healer, natural healer I've ever been around, just an amazing, amazing guy. One of the things that he would do was foot baths, and pretty fancy little, I mean, the container is not, that's just a plastic tub, but there's a thing that does ionization, I think, and it goes negative and then it goes positive, but it pulls heavy metals and toxins and all sorts of crap through the biggest pores in your body, which are in your feet. And if your body's going to try and move everything away from your vital organs, it's going to go down into your legs, right? And so anyways, the foot bath is supposed to extract out all sorts of bad stuff. And so Jen was brave enough to give it a try. So this first part of the podcast, she's had her feet soaking.
It's been quite
in
nice.
A foot bath. So the time had gone up, and I figured she didn't want to spend another hour or two just sitting in water.
Oh, that was great.
I'm up next, by the way. I'll do that as soon as we wrap up. It's my turn.
Yeah, that was interesting how the water turned like blue.
Right? Yeah. Well, and I was surprised. And like I said, I think it was because of the salt that we used. Sometimes it gets bubbly and the bubbles have like black stuff, and it almost, you can like almost, it's so gross. So yours was actually one of the nicest, cleanest ones I've ever seen. So maybe you're already
I highly doubt that I'm cleaned out. It's the wine.
Well, and it's the wine. It is the wine. Oh, I do love me some wine.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts of our Christmas gift from Jeff, was us going out to go get.
That was awesome.
We're going on a field trip. Here's $100 gift card to everybody. We're going to Total Wine and More.
Yeah.
Let's see what everybody picks.
Well, it's the first time that I had ever purchased like a $200 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Because I had $100 and I was like, oh, why not? And it literally ruined wine for me for like,
did it?
Probably about a month and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
Oh yeah.
It was delicious.
It had more flavor. It had more, and I like the spicy back end, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of like, I like my wine like I like my whiskey.
So, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it had a really nice, smooth, but yet spicy back end.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. And the alcohol content was
was it
much more. So
you didn't need 2 or 3 glasses, just one.
Exactly. Well,
yeah.
It was 2, but I had enough for a couple of days because it
lasted.
Oh Lord, it did.
It hit.
It hit hard, and it made me funny. I think
you're always funny.
Oh, it was extraordinarily
it elevated
funny.
it. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, it was great. It was yeah.
Well, now I know what to get you for a gift.
To make me funny.
Yeah. Well, we're doing an after hours at the office, or during hours.
No, during hours. Yeah.
The CA sucks. I need a drink.
No doubt.
There's a reason why that stuck around, right? The banker has that bottom drawer is full of bourbon.
Sometimes we need it.
Sometimes we need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, and I hate to say it this way, but what we do is creative writing.
Yes.
With numbers, basically.
Yeah.
And we have to and there's so many different numbers that go along with it.
Oh my
gosh.
It's
like, debt service is looking great, but debt yield service is only at 7.6.
Right. Well, in our standards, 8. And
yeah. It's like,
how do I, we're 0.2 off. How do I make this look okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and so there's so many different numbers that correlate with the other numbers, but don't really correlate because one might look really, really great.
Yep.
And then the cap rate comes in and it's not so great from the appraisal. And there's just stuff. I mean, I just want you to know, if you have a commercial banker, next time you see him, hug him.
Yeah, please.
Cause
we need it.
We need it. It's yeah. It's just as hard on us as it is on you. Let's just put it that way.
That's a really good point. I don't think people realize that because, I hate delivering the bad news when there is bad news because I get maybe saying just as invested isn't fair because I'm not the business owner, but we form these relationships and it is relationship driven, and you want to see those people succeed.
You do.
And you catch the vision. And then I always kind of joke we work for the evil empire. And I feel like the rebel inside that's trying to work the system to help everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. To me, it's that famous teach me the rules, I'll play the game. Well, I know how to play the game from the inside. And so how do I help people?
Yeah. And as long as your character is good, as a prospective client, I'm gonna
walk through coals.
I'll jump off a small cliff for you if I have to.
Yeah.
A small one, by the way.
Yeah. As soon as we get to 80 feet, I'm out.
Yeah. And then I need a helium balloon to bring me down. Cause I mean, I don't want to hurt myself, but but I really do. I put myself on the line sometimes as long as, if I see the character, then I believe in you.
Yep. Well, and we just went through training and I like the way that they put it. You were saying it's how we tell a story. How did he phrase it? We are the book on this customer is their financials.
Yeah.
And it's in a different language and we have to translate it over to our language and be storytellers to get an approval.
But don't be too much of a storyteller too.
Right.
Like there's words that you can't, you don't want to use don't bring out the thesaurus. That's
right. This
just
isn't
all I'm
fluffy,
saying. This isn't
creative
fluffy
writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Your English professor would be really bored with what we write.
Right.
And it's not great grammar either.
No.
It's you kind of truncate everything, so there's a lot that's taken out of it and you're like, I would be so in trouble for this if I were in an English
where I was
class
trying to
right
get
now.
more words and more pages.
Yeah.
Concise, to the point.
Yep.
But also paint the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Anyways, it's great. It's good times.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say 33 pages worth of
that.
Yeah, it's great. It's good times.
Yeah.
So fill for us, please.
Hug your banker.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. There's so many different. Well, where do you want to go? I have a couple different places I could take us, but where do you want to go?
Well, I think we kind of talked about. We talked about the journey the last 5 years, 6 years that I've gone through. So
let's get into why.
Dive into that.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll start with I was married for 20 years.
When did you get married?
Back in the day.
Were you young? Were you mid-20s?
I think it was about 24.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Needless to say, she can have him. And so, life was a little chaotic there for a couple of years. And then, I finally everything kind of calmed down. Fortunately, I found the love of my life through that too.
I'm so glad he's here. I love Joe.
I love him too.
He's so great. Well, and you, Rachel says this, she has in the past, she doesn't really say it anymore, but I used to joke because I always had a really good relationship with my female coworkers, primarily because I'm usually the only guy in the office.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Especially branch life. There's one guy. And so I always had a work wife. And she's like, do you even think about me throughout the day? Like what? No, all the time. And you have so many fun stories to tell with Joe, and you're always glowing when you talk about Joe. So you have absolutely, to affirm that, she's totally found the love of her life.
I have.
Yeah.
He's pretty special. And he's getting all blushy and he's just shaking his head right now. We didn't have enough money to get him on video, so
right. I can't afford another mic yet. We'll get Joe up here eventually. Quick side note there. Again, it's not fun to go through the hard stuff.
No.
Right. But it does give you that offset to go, wow, when things are good, it's really good. Right.
Yeah.
It gives you the opposite.
Yeah.
You went through 20 years of not great.
Not great.
I mean, there had to be some highlights.
It was great. I mean, we did. We did a lot of camping together. We had a lot of stuff. We did roller hockey together, which was really fun when we were younger. There was a lot of things, but it was just.
But there was also the not good.
Yeah, the not good. And after the years, I think It's just the lack of good communication, and trying to be very politically correct on this. The lack of good communication, the lack of the ability to, gosh, the wording. Yeah.
What is it? A trust thing? Is it a being yourself thing?
It was the, and once you lose trust in a relationship, it's incredibly hard to bring it back.
Yeah. Well, and it really comes back to communication.
It does. And when there's deception and lack of communication, that's, and it just got tough. So anyways, long story short, that's done.
Yep.
And in the past.
Well, and now you can appreciate Joe even more.
Exactly.
Right? It's
exactly.
Sometimes you need that to see that.
And this is the kind of individual he is, actually. So, and my family, by the way, too. And I'll bring that in too. So about 1.5 years, 2 years after that, roughly about 3.5, 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with a very aggressive breast cancer.
Oh.
And so I had to start, I found it, I'm just going to say, and I see this in my podcast that I have with somebody else, Let's Talk Boobs.
Oh yeah. It's a great title.
Great title.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? I said that, and then
well, so you found it?
Oh yes. Okay. So I found it, and then I went in, and a nurse practitioner is like, "Oh, you just had a fall a couple weeks ago," which I did. I fell down Joe's steps in the front, and boy, was that a bruise.
It's always fun.
Hurt my tailbone. It was great. It was good times. So we're just going to give it a couple of weeks. And I'm like, I leave, and I'm like, F you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, no,
there's something wrong now.
I'm taking care of this because I know my body.
Yeah.
And so I called over and I got in for a mammogram myself.
Oh, yeah.
And that was fun because they're like, well, if you can't find anything, your insurance is probably not going to cover it.
I hate
and
that fear tactic thing.
Kiss my ass. I said, then I guess I die then. And I hung up the phone. It was not the best chin.
Well, but it is. It is because
like, F you,
one of the themes that I like about this podcast is so many people have brought up something about their intuition at some point.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like is when other people who don't know you, who aren't feeling what you're feeling, are telling you one thing and you're like, no, listen to me.
Yes.
That's a beautiful stand up for yourself and be heard and listen to me moment.
Yeah. So the lady called me back.
Yep.
And she goes, I can tell that you're very, you're very sure about the situation. And I said, yes, I am.
Yeah.
And if not, great. I can
then
go
I'll
on
pay
with my life.
And whatever the insurance company says, screw them.
I'll pay you $10 a month if I need to.
Right.
Yep. So I go in, and so that was a Friday. I go in on a Tuesday, I believe it was. They do the mammogram. They had me wait. And they had me wait. They came back in the room and they said, we want to do an ultrasound. So this was a 3D too, by the way, because the regular mammograms, they don't really necessarily show a lot, especially if you're porous.
Oh, okay.
So
you got the advanced.
I got the 3D. Advanced 3D, and then they said, well, we're gonna do a ultrasound. And I remember looking at it, and then there was a bunch of flashy stuff and some colors, and I said, ooh, pretty. Not pretty, by the way, guys.
Not pretty.
Not pretty.
No.
And so the gal is like, okay, we need you to come back in tomorrow and do a biopsy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's never a good sign.
No. So the next day I go in.
And I'm sure you were calm and cool and didn't lose any sleep that night.
God, no. I mean, I was up dancing.
Yeah.
So I went in, got it, and sure enough, So that was Wednesday. Friday morning, they called me, and Joe, I had stayed with Joe, and Joe was walking out of the house to go to work. And I got the call and I fell down to my knees. Why am I crying? I'm not like this. So they're like, we need you to come in because we need to explain to you. So oncologist, Dr. White and Keller, great guy. He's retired, unfortunately. He was my dad's cancer doctor too, but
oh yeah.
I go in and he tells me the news, and then I talk to the breast surgeon, Dr. Richardson. So this is like a Monday. It was Monday or Tuesday the following. So, they got me in pretty quickly. By the following Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember, I was doing chemo.
Wow. Okay. So it was really aggressive.
Yeah. It was stage 2 and it was really close to stage 3.
Yeah.
And so, so they started it up. So I always find the positive in everything, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
there's always a silver lining.
and the funny in everything. So
yes.
So I go in. So that Thursday is when I have it, but I think it was Tuesday. That following Tuesday, I got my port in.
Yep.
Which one of my nieces, God bless her, she comes over and she's got her little cell phone cord and she's going like this to my chest. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I need to recharge my phone.
Your report,
like,
right?
Freaking funny. You're funny, kid. And I think it was Gracie, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Grace. Grace has a sense of humor like me. But so then they're doing stuff, and I go to the bathroom. And I look down and it is like bright fluorescent dark orange.
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, what the frick? Right?
Yeah.
So I come out of the bathroom. My eyes are like bright, like,
oh, wide. Yeah.
And the nurse looks at me and says, "Oh shit." I'm like, what? Because
that's not
help.
helping.
It doesn't help. She goes,
no.
We kind of forgot to tell you that's what happens on the Red Devil.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the info.
So then, I'm done, and it takes like, I think it's like 5 or 6 hours of sitting there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm because our experience with Thatcher, I definitely remember checking his diaper all the time and seeing it that red, orange, and being like, freaky. Oh, okay, it's freaky.
Yeah.
But we were inpatient. I want to say it was like a week on, and then you'd watch him and then he'd have chemo again. But we're in a room in the children's wing and you're there, right, in the bed. But this is, I think, outpatient, right? So you're going into the clinic, you're sitting in a comfy seat, they port you up, and you're reading a book or doing whatever you're doing. Yeah.
And so that would happen, I think it's once every 2 weeks that I was doing it. I had 8 sessions, if I remember right, 4 and 4. Okay. So I went through that, and it's so funny because everybody is like, you're just going to feel sick when you get in, the Red Devil. And then I got home and I had so much freaking energy, cleaned out the refrigerator, like did all this stuff. And my mom is like, you need to sit down. And I was like, no, because I feel great right now. Yeah. I need to get things done because if I don't feel well tomorrow, I want to, and I woke up the next day and I felt a little pukey, but not as bad, but they give you,
along with the chemo, there's steroids and there's other stuff.
They give you all this nausea. I had 3 different nausea medicines.
Yeah.
And so I would take one and then 4 hours later and you were continuously, and they said, just take this, make sure. Yeah. So 4 weeks after that, I started the other chemo, and I can't remember because I really don't care. Like I do care, but I don't care. People are like, you don't remember? No, I don't. And I don't care. Yeah.
I'm on the other end of this. I'm healthy.
Exactly.
And
that
I went through that.
Progress is learning. Just positivity is electricity for success. And I'm looking this way.
Oh, I love it.
And so I got through that. And then I think it was the third one of the second round, I was really, really sick. Yeah. And I don't know, I might've gotten a bug too.
Well, yeah, because your immune system is shot.
Yeah. So my aunt Kelly, God bless the woman, She told me to drink a whole thing of Pedialyte.
Oh,
So I went and got Pedialyte. That was a game changer.
Was it?
The last one, I was so worried that I was going to be sick for my family. My family had a family barbecue / kind of reunion thing.
Cool.
And I did great. I was able to go, and so I had a side effect where I had electrical shock in my lower back.
Oh,
which my doctor's like, that's weird. I've never heard of that. Well, I don't care if you've heard of it or not.
Yeah,
that's what's
I've
happening.
got it.
Yeah. And so it would literally take me down. Joe would have to actually hold me up.
Oh, because it would hit and you would just collapse?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Okay, weird, because you mentioned it earlier. Is that a tie-in with the polio stuff? Did the doctors ever make sense of it? Oh, yeah, sometimes that's a weird, rare side effect it just happened to be, you just got it.
Yeah, and I have inflammation issues occasionally.
Okay.
And I think that's still, I mean, I don't know, but it's an awful lot like what it was and stuff, but you just live with it. And I've got gabapentin for the neuropathy now and stuff like that. So occasionally I don't use it all the time. I don't like drugs. So, but when I do need it, and to make your guys' life better in the office, I will partake
every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I think one of the things that you learn when you go through that whole entire journey, because everybody's journey is different, by the way, and everybody reacts differently. And that's something that I actually talk about, Jen and I. Jen Sampson is my, it's Jen doubled in the duo. Let's Talk Boobs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the things I talk about is everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
And so my journey, I remained positive as much as possible.
Well, I was going to say that's a huge part is mindset. Yeah.
I only had a couple of breakdowns, which one of them was that when I was diagnosed, I took the day off and I just had my nervous breakdown and then I put my big girl panties on, as my friend Kay says all the time. And I just rode. I was like, let's ride, guys.
Yeah.
And I had so many people in my corner. My friends, of course, Jazz was a huge support. My brother Mike and his wife and the kids, they brought me over vitamin water and all kinds of stuff. Like just, we're just making sure that you're doing the right thing. And they were there for me constantly. My mom and dad were a rock to me as well. My friends were awesome. Like Jamie and Ronnie, Jamie and Deb, one of my other friends, they started a GoFundMe. And at the time,
that's sweet.
Because of all the things that went on and the divorce and everything, it was, I would not have been able to survive financially if I wasn't able to have that. And it gave me the ability to take off Fridays from work.
Cool.
And so FMLA had just started. I had to wait 2 months, I think, from chemo to have the a lumpectomy.
Okay.
And I was out, I was supposed to be out 3 weeks and I was only out, I believe, a week and a half, if I remember right.
Oh, wow.
By the way, anybody going through this, don't do that.
Take the time.
So I got back and then it was a month and a half later, 2 months later. No, 4 weeks later. It was 4 weeks later. And the next one, sorry guys, there's so many. I had the double mastectomy.
Okay.
And then 2 months later I ended up, starting radiation. And so radiation, and all this time I had, expanders. And so expanders, they will last about a week, or not a week, a year. God, a week. They last about a year. You have to be really careful with what you do,
lifting and
everything. Yeah. So I got the radiation done. And then 1 year later I had reconstructive surgery that took me, and I was out 2 months for the double. 3 months for the reconstructive surgery, which was like they take your belly and redo everything. So you're getting your abdomen cut from hip to hip.
Yeah.
They're taking a bunch of your skin and tissue and stuff, and then they bring it down, and then they re-sew your belly button to. It's just
one hell of a way to get a tummy tuck.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then and then 2 months later they go and do liposuction to fill in the bumpiness.
Yeah.
And I was gone 2 months there.
Oh
So
my
that
gosh.
kind of gives you an idea. So FMLA did not, the first time around, I did not recover my money until the day after I got back from my second surgery.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, it can, there's a reason why I think medical is the number one reason for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And it's because if you have something catastrophic happen,
Like that.
you're fucked.
Yes. Yes. So thank God for my friends.
Yeah.
Thank God for my family. I learned, sorry, that's my phone.
Oh.
My lovely daughter.
Hey.
I learned who was there. Joe, instead of running away, because he could have, you know, because we would have only been together like a year and a half or a year, something like that. It wasn't a long time. A year and a half. I think it was a year and a half. He could have run away. Instead, he was like, I think it's time for me to move in with you because I know that you're going to need help and I don't want to see you suffer like this.
Yeah.
And so that was a complete blessing because I'm like, how many men or women too, by the way, with stuff, you know, can't take the pressure.
Right.
And I've seen it happen. One of my friends, their loved one, their
person.
boyfriend, their person, their partner ran away.
Yeah.
Because it was too much.
Yeah.
You know, and I have somebody that was strong enough to stay.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big deal.
Well, and it says something about Joe. It says something about your guys' relationship, and it's beautiful.
Because it was a complete sacrifice in so many ways. But you know, my nieces came over. Gosh, Abigail, she could be a drill sergeant. She brought me a cheesecake, so that was good.
Oh,
I can't remember if it was strawberry or cherry. I'm going to have to ask her if she remembers. Anyways, she brought it over and she goes, "Have you eaten yet?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't eaten." "You need to eat." "Yes, Abigail, I know." So I go to get up and she goes, "You need to sit down." I'm like, whoa.
There is a drill sergeant in there.
Like a demon voice, you know? And she made me sit down and everything. So she was like a stern nurse for a couple of days there.
That's good.
But she helped out a lot. And then I had a bunch of friends that did. My friend Becky made me the best barley soup, beef barley. Oh my God, it was so delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had somebody else make me some wonderful enchiladas and God, we had food growing out of food.
See, okay. And that's, I think this is a really, because we'll go back to mindset. Because something that they talk about on the psychedelic side is your mindset going into a journey.
Yep.
And your setting, the setting that
Yes.
you're partaking in. And I think that applies to a lot of things. And so obviously mindset here, but your setting is your environment. It's your people. It's those things. And I remember with Thatcher, on reflecting on it, it was such a blessing to have all the friends, the way that the community galvanized around us and took care of us. Mm-hmm. And I have a really good friend that he says, I'm not the guy that's going to say, oh, if you need me, just call me. I'm happy to help. Right. Because when you're in that situation, at least me, I have that. I don't want to put anybody else out. I'm never going to ask for help.
Yes.
It's the people that show up anyways, that know that you need help.
Yeah, I had a lot of those.
Are bringing the cheesecake, are bringing the soup, are bringing the vitamin waters, that are starting to go. The ones that don't wait around to be told what to do, but they take action on your behalf.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
My mom and I believe my friend Danielle too, they came over and helped clean a little bit. And, and you know, and that was fantastic because one of the things is like you can't do much. And so
No.
so you need to rely on people,
Yeah.
which is really tough for me,
It's
by the way,
tough.
because I'm the one that gives, right?
Right.
Like if I have a friend and I have had a couple of friends just in the past year that have gone through my journey.
Yeah.
I'm there, I bought one a shower chair.
Oh yeah.
Because I told her, I said, after your surgery, this is going to be your best friend.
Lifesaver.
Yeah. And then tell your husband to go, or you can go buy yourself like one of the handheld shower thingies.
Yeah.
Because it's so much easier, and you have six drains, so you have six little monsters everywhere. Yeah, it's fantastic. It just I look like one of those science.
I'm imagining the Matrix when they come out of the pods and they've got all those ports coming out. It's like
eight legs. And, so now I know what a spider feels like. But no, where am I going with this? Like, it's the people, and it was those people, like, I was like, no, you don't have to do that, and Jamie or Danielle or my mom or my brother or whoever else helped would be like, unacceptable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that great? I love those.
It's like, well, we're just going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like, it's because they knew that I needed it, but I wasn't going to ask,
Yes.
And so my Aunt Vicky said something to me that really, really resonated. If I said that word right, I make up
resonated.
Word. Yeah, resonated.
Yep.
I make up words sometimes. She said that if you don't let people give you something, you're taking away their blessing. So if they're doing something for you, it's coming from the heart.
Yep.
And you need to give them the ability to feel that blessing, And I said that to one of my friends, because she had a harder time, one of my friends that just went through it, than I did, accepting the reality that people want to help, and accepting the reality that she can't do as much as she would plan to, And I told her, I said, you can do whatever you want, but I would suggest, following the doctor's orders, and really giving yourself the chance to heal, emotionally and physically, mentally. It's
and it's all of it.
It's a trifecta. And it's an anger sometimes too that, God, I can't, and I still have that where I can't pick up a lot of weight, because if I do, I get Charlie horses in my stomach still. And there's just a lot of things that just kind of remind you that you had cancer. Yeah. You just have to relax and embrace the moments that you feel good. Yeah. And just remain positive. Yeah. Because if you don't, and if you don't, that's what brings on cancer sometimes, is that stress, that anxiety.
For sure.
It is an evil thing that just, it attacks you at your worst moments in life. Yes. And
well, and mindset is so important. And I'm going to circle back on that because I have so many little questions along this way, but, we're made of, I can't, the exact numbers.
Billions.
Trillions. But it's like 27 octillion atoms our bodies are made of. It's like 10 to the 7th power something. It's some crazy.
I have it on a podcast that I listen to. I'll figure out what it is.
but it's been a couple episodes since I've said this. I'm sure my regulars are like, Brandon, you're forgetting. Energy is information that vibrates. Yeah. We're made of atoms that are vibrating all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is vibrating. And when you put out a mindset, everything is vibration. So those thoughts are vibrations, and you're influencing your physical matter that's holding you together. And so of course that can be a cause of illness. Yes. Dis-ease, right? Is you're telling yourself, oh, I'm sick. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, bad things. You're vibrating at that level, and you're making your cells do the same thing. You're
vibrating at a negative level.
Yeah.
You can consider yourself like if you have a candle on a table and you put music by it.
Yes.
Like some Beethoven or whatever, you can see it flicker back and forth and move, you know? So you can either give the joyous, like the beautiful Beethoven making the flame go back and forth. If you haven't tried this, it is freaky weird.
I was going to say this visual is awesome. I'm going to do it later.
It's so cool. Like, you're like, is that how? And it's dancing
to the music.
So that's your body. Like if you're putting in positive, you're going to get more positive in return.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, I think I learned a lot from other people that had gone through stuff before me, and some were more negative than others and more positive. And I noticed that the people that were more positive had a better outcome.
Yep.
You know, and you do get tired. Honestly, 3.5 years. It's a long journey.
Yeah.
In the
it's
first
not a sprint.
2.5,
it's a marathon.
Yes. And it can get a little tiring, but you have to remind yourself, put yourself back into your center.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of the thing. And one thing that I've gotten out of this is that there is a lot of things that I don't take as seriously as I used to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I used to take my job seriously, but I don't, there's some things that you just can't control.
Right.
You know, and since this time I've learned, you know, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yep.
I think I've learned how to communicate more effectively. I was a Spitfire before this. People that worked with me prior to the credit union at the other place that I worked for 7.5 years. They could tell you I was a Spitfire.
Even more so. Okay,
and sometimes I said things that I could have probably abbreviated or said more professionally, or is this really a value? And are you going to be able to fix this?
Yeah. Put that genie back in that bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'll say stuff, you know me, you know, but it's less opinionated and more constructive.
It's one of my favorite things about you, and something that I aspire to do. You express yourself in exactly the way that you just said.
It takes a lot too, because the little voice inside my head, the Hillyard voice, by the way, my nickname is Hillyard. And if I don't know how many
local people. But for anybody that isn't local,
people think it's rough. I don't think it was rough, but it's like a very blue collar, no nonsense,
it's the grittier part of the city.
Yes. It's like Gen X mentality on steroids. And so, and I'm Gen X, so that kind of completes
you gotta
the whole
double down
thing. Yeah. Anyways, we keep on going on tangents.
Well, but I am the king of rabbit holes. Well, and so I like that, because this is I was going to ask about some stuff in the beginning, but I like this ending piece of what did you learn, how did it change you, and so it sounds like there's just overall more appreciation and kind of that stop and smell the roses and like appreciate every day.
Yeah. And when I start spinning, I do a good job at bringing myself back in.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's other times that Joe is like, "You okay there?"
Yeah. Helps bring you back to
Here's
center.
a bottle of wine.
We all need that.
We do.
Yeah.
It's one of my vices, but whatever.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, to get to that point, we had to have the beginning point, and I'm curious because it is a flash for us. It was a flash with Thatcher because he was acting different, and we knew something was up.
Yeah.
We took him to the pediatrician, and they said, "Yeah, he's inflamed, and it might be his liver. Something's definitely going on. You need to take him to the emergency room."
Yeah.
Which is never a good sign, right?
No,
That's first anxiety
is.
spike. Or
Absolutely.
second, after there's something wrong, and now the doctor is saying, "Yeah, there's definitely something wrong."
Yeah.
Then we go to and it was just Rachel because I had the other kids. They go to the emergency room. They start running those tests and scans, and then next thing you know, the next day we're in surgery. So we went from
so crazy.
What are we having for dinner to, oh my gosh, we're in surgery for our baby right? Like that.
And that is a totally different feel too, because I feel like I was able to handle me better than I could handle others that I love going through something of a, you know, like my daughter went through something, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I was majorly in it, and I'm in it with this, but I was like, I gotta move forward.
Right. Okay. And that was as you're going through all that, right? Because you are getting kind of that same rapid succession of, you go in on Friday, then you're back in on Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Friday, right? Like in a week, your world changed.
Yeah.
Did you, and I have a hard time remembering on our end, but was there a level of a fear of death? What did that look like? Were you, right? Like what, because you are so positive, how did you deal with that storm of emotions, and what were they?
It happens so quickly.
Yeah.
And you do still, I mean, you still have that feeling like, I really don't want to die. I mean, I have the best life right now, that I truly deserve to live a little bit, you know? And so you do, you know, but I don't think that I really actually thought about it a lot.
Oh,
I feel like it was more like, I'm telling that little piece of a person inside my head, shut the F up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Cause we all have that negative little roommate up there.
And I'm like, stop, you know? And sometimes, and to this day, when I hear that negative in the back of my head, I will say out loud, you need to stop.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice.
And I'm talking to myself, you know, obviously. And I'm like, stop it. This is so ridiculous that you're thinking this way.
Right.
Because we do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I had somebody put it really well. They said that roommate, that negativity in your head, would you allow an actual roommate to be like that? If
Absolutely
you're sitting
not.
on the couch and they're, well, that's not going to work for you because blah, 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 blah. Or isn't this the worst? Get out of my house.
Yeah. You're spewing negative, dude.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you know, I do a really good job at kind of self-talking that out.
That's good.
And I think that kind of helped. But the other thing is it just went so freaking fast.
Yeah.
You know,
you kind of don't even have time to.
It's just like, I'm on a ride. Let's get on that train.
Well, and I'm curious, it's almost like how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? Just take that next step in front of you. You can't think about the whole thing.
No,
you just do what's next.
Yeah,
and
you got to go
stay positive.
What's next and what's my goal?
Right.
Those are the two things that I actually focused on.
Yeah.
And I think I think the reconstructive surgery was probably the one that I feared the most.
I was going to say, what was the hardest part?
It was 10.5-hour surgery.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. I had to stay in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. I can't remember how many. Joe, 3 or 4, do you remember? 3 days. It felt like 10.
Yeah.
And
which being in the hospital is like the worst spot.
Well, yeah,
it's not comfortable.
No,
the nurses are bugging you all the time.
Yes,
there's no rest. There's no recovery. It's
and they threw
terrible.
They threw people out at like 7:00.
Oh,
so
no.
Yeah, so Joe couldn't even stay. My daughter couldn't stay. Nobody could stay. And so, you know, from 7 on, I'm just stuck there in my head.
Yeah.
You know,
great spot.
Yeah. I have to say, though, I thought when I got out that first 24 or 48 hours, I thought that I was like, my head is totally screwed on correctly. I am rocking this.
Yeah.
And then I you know, a couple of days later goes by. It's kind of like that. I got so drunk I can't remember what I said thing. And then like a week later, you're like,
good excuse.
Did I say that?
Did I say?
So I started remembering some of the things that I did, and I'm like, nah, I couldn't have done that. Joe, did I? Oh yeah. Yeah, you did. Yeah. I'm like, oh crap. Yeah.
Was that more of like a truth serum moment, or was that oh no, I shouldn't have?
No, I think it was more I don't even know. Like I became very funny apparently, but not as bad. So I had a they like the scope down your.
Yeah.
Anyways, I had that, and I was coming through, and my daughter was with me, and they were rolling me through it in the inside, and the nurse had knocked the wall, so I kind of like this, and I'm like, Jasmine, stop kicking the futon. At the time, we didn't even have a futon. And Jess is like, great, you're yelling at me for
and
nothing.
I didn't even do anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
My kids hear that or do that all the time.
Yeah. And then a couple hours later, so we went to the store because obviously I was really good. And we went to Walmart. By the way, I wasn't driving, y'all. So, yeah. So we're at the store, and I'm just kind of like this. And my mom and my dad were kind of snickering, and Jazz was laughing at me. I'm like, what? I'm fine. So then we get down to I was staying down at Newman Lake, and they had a fifth wheel down on a little lot.
Little spot.
Yeah. So I was just going to stay the night there, and I'm laying in their bed, just kind of trying to get some rest because I'm still a little groggy and tired. And I look over, and there's a bobblehead of my ex-husband in his razor glass sunglasses, and his head's going like this, or back and forth, The only problem with that is there was no bobblehead.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I was like, I was reading too. I was reading to kind of get myself, relaxed and stuff. And I was like, put the book down. And then I was like, I think it's time for me to take a little nap.
Yeah. So I was going to say, because did you pick that thing up and chuck it? Oh, it's in your head anyways.
I should have. But oops, that's one of those things, that wasn't me. That was,
right.
Yeah. Or did I say that? It must have been in my head.
Oh
my Lord.
That's
Anyways.
too funny.
Yeah.
I like that. That's, that was my big thing with Thatcher was it's so easy to go, well, why did this happen to me? To go down the negative road.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I look back on it and go, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No.
But it was a beautiful moment, a lot of learning, a lot of growth, a lot of all those things.
Yeah. And I think that's you find out how strong you are in times of turbulence.
Yes, you do.
And I think that's the thing that I and I try to instill that with Jazz, when she's having a rough time, stress at work or stress at, she works full time as a dental assistant, and then she's going to school as well. And I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot. She's got a lot on her plate.
And she's minoring in Spanish, and she's way better than me. I suck at it.
Hola, ¿qué pasa?
Yeah. I only know like 6 or 7 sentences, and that's about it with my 8-week course that I took.
That's all you need. Donde está el baño? Yo tengo hambre.
Yes, you do need that. Yeah. So,
Mas tequila. I mean,
yes,
right.
Yes.
You just need a couple sentences.
Exactly. The really important ones. She's taking on a lot. And she's doing medical administration, I think, is her major.
Cool.
I say that wrong all the time.
Yeah, she's going to correct you.
Yeah, she's going to correct me. It'll be, So she graduates, I think, next January.
Oh, she's almost done.
Yeah, she's almost done.
Lights at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Good.
But she's just like, maybe. And it's like, you're fine.
You're fine.
You're fine. But she's doing her internship right now, too, on top of it.
Yeah.
And so it's just, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And I always tell her, this too shall pass.
Yep.
And what you go through makes you stronger.
Yes.
And she's like, shut the F up.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. My brother says that too. Cause my poor brother, he was in a little mini house in a tiny fifth wheel with 5 children while his construction was going on. Actually, four and a half children, because Callista would come back and forth and everything.
Yeah.
By the end of this 1.5, 2 years of living in this small confinement, He was about at his wit's end. And
Yeah, I was going to
said,
say, did everybody actually survive? Because I would be on a regular basis. This too shall pass. This too shall pass.
They had 6 children. Just kidding.
They did, in fact,
little
have to bury
Johnny,
one out back.
Yeah, little Johnny kind of got on everybody's nerves. No. But I told him, I said, this is, we all go through these turbulent times.
Yeah.
But I think, it's because we need to be reminded that we can be stronger. So it's not whatever happens makes you stronger,
Right.
It's God's way of, giving you the ability to see, blah, blah. It's more along the lines of, it reminds us how strong we are.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think we need to be, by the way, Lord, I think I'm.
Yeah. This we aren't tempting you to.
This is fine.
Yeah,
this
we're
is
good.
Fine. You've done good. Thank you.
Yeah. Don't throw another challenge my way just yet.
In the name of Lord. Amen. No, but I think that's what we need to gain is that perspective.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the one that I always try and check myself on is, man, things are really good right now. That means the other shoe's about to drop. So like, no. Don't worry about what, cause something, it will. Yeah. Just be present. Every moment, just be present.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Oh gosh, I've had to say that 100 times, 1,000 times.
Especially because you work with me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my God, it is what it is. Yeah. No, just as much heat as you need. And oh my gosh, you walk into his office and it's just like, it's like a sauna.
Oh, it's so good.
No.
The health benefits of sauna are so good. I figured, why not make my office a sauna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
well, and your end of the office is always freezing.
Yeah, it is.
So so it plays out.
Well, you remember those cold ice baths are really, really good for your health or whatever.
Those are good for you too.
I don't know what they're called.
And if you bounce back and forth between the two, you're just getting both benefits.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm striving for.
Yeah, that's good.
Probably why my water was only a faded blue.
Yeah. You're already all
because of the
healthed out. You've got all the
because of my office.
Because of your office.
God.
Okay, one more thing on that, and then and obviously, if there's anything else you want to add in on there, but tying it back to the religious piece just for a moment, right? Because one of the main questions is, where did we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going?
Yeah.
And you had just a nice, well-rounded upbringing on God and how what your relationship there is like. Did that change at all throughout?
I think it became a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Because I knew that when I got overwhelmed, because I didn't want to overwhelm everybody else because there was so many tasks and things that people were doing for me.
Yeah.
So between the divorce and the cancer, I do believe that it got stronger because at first, actually it took cancer way better than divorce.
Yeah.
I did. But there was so much anger and animosity and frustrations and and hurt.
Yeah.
When things like that happen, it's kind of like somebody dying.
Okay.
There is a mourning process.
Yeah.
And a frustration and an anger, and you do things that you shouldn't really do, just so you know.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah. There was things that I said and, that probably didn't need to be said,
Well, maybe.
Sticking in my little head probably was probably
Did it feel good to say them?
At the time.
Yeah. See, there you go. There you go.
But then you have to live with the words that came out of your mouth, Yeah.
It's
and it's like, I'm being, almost as bad by the words that I have said or the animosity that I had. So I would pray about it. And I kind of got the answer that it's okay. I mean, you never want to forget because you always want to make sure that you can set boundaries, healthy boundaries, and you love yourself enough to love someone else. My great grandma said that one time. You're put on this earth to love yourself so that you can love others. And that's
I love that.
Yeah, I always loved that.
Yeah,
and
it's very well
she
said.
had a big heart too, and like literally, she was born within a large heart.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she had a lot of love in there.
She played it out.
Yeah, but I think it came from that. Like, you just have to forgive in some aspects so that you can move on. You never forget,
Right?
but you can forgive.
Yes.
And it's such a cliche thing because people say that, but I'll tell you, once I said, I can't control what happened to me or why it happened or how it happened.
Yeah.
But what I can control is how it affects me.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of things that I do now, specifically because I was able to go, just give me an understanding of what I need to do, because the evil is penetrating my body and it's poison.
Yeah.
And so that's,
that's the whole, sometimes I'd really like to just, have that lesson downloaded instead of actually having to go through the trial.
Yeah, that'd be great. Is there a podcast for that?
Yeah. And you said that was cliche and how, there's so many sayings, so many cliches, so many things that people spout out and you go, okay, whatever. But then until you actually go through the thing that makes you go, oh yeah, that's exactly how that is.
Yeah.
And that is how you encapsulate that into a beautiful, 3-word sentence or something.
Yeah.
Damn, they got it right. And I just had to go through this craziness to go, okay, it's not just cliche. It's very, very true.
It's very, very true.
Yeah.
Do you notice that I have little Post-it notes every once in a while on my computer screen?
Yeah.
You may F up on something, but you've learned a lesson from that, or or should learn a lesson.
Yeah.
Like little things like, every stage of what you're doing right now gives you the knowledge to be complete.
Oh, that's good.
So like when I'm feeling like I suck,
yeah.
And you've heard me say that. He's heard me say it too. Joe has. Like,
I know. I wish I could just like extract that out of you because it's so not true.
I'll say stuff and I'm like, why did I just say that? And I've been trying really, really hard to not say stuff like that because I think that that's when the negative energy comes in, the anxiety, all of those things.
Well, right. You don't want to reinforce it or linger on it and make it valid.
And it's kind of like, so to go on to this kind of goes with it. There's triggers.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a trigger that sets you off, then you're doing a disservice to yourself.
For sure.
And I've had to work through some triggers. Joe knows that. Just triggers in relationship. And I have a lot of triggers at work too from experiences or I try to hold myself at a higher standard than sometimes I really can achieve because we are our own worst critics.
Yes.
It's completely true.
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself to step down and understand that if you mess up,
it's okay.
It's fine.
It's actually part of the process.
Fine. Brad is more than likely not going to fire you.
Right.
Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah.
No, but every single aspect of what you do and how you perform that, you learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
And even in one of the things that I was doing, it was seven layers of this thing that I was doing. The first time I was like, oh, this isn't bad because it was very simple.
Right.
Second time got a little bit more technical and I'm like, ugh, I'm wondering,
some self.
Third time was, pretty big. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do here? Okay, I learned this. Fourth time, big train wreck.
Yeah.
Very confusing. Then the fifth time I was like, well, what about this, and this? And I started putting everything together because when you're in, you have to remember this in your head. When you're learning things in stages.
Yes.
And you have to go through that full process by yourself in order to put it all together.
Yeah.
And see where your opportunities and weaknesses are.
Right.
Because you have strength. I mean, I have strengths. There's stuff that I'm like, oh, this doesn't look right. Or, you know, like you have your belly kind of intuition, you know, stuff. And then you have your stuff that you know, your strengths that you know from other things, that you bring into the puzzle.
Yep.
And then you have the things where it's just like somebody will say,
no idea.
Yeah. Or why did you do it this way? You should have, because I didn't even think.
Yeah, I didn't even that wasn't an angle that I even knew to look at.
And I've had leaders in the past that have been so angry over the thing that I had made a mistake on, that they didn't understand that if you don't know, you just don't know.
Right.
You know, and I value that in people, like, well, you just didn't know. It's not
right. That grace piece is huge.
Yes. There's not a lot that you can do where you majorly mess up that can't be fixed.
Right.
You know, except for maybe a nuclear button.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, don't screw that one.
That
up,
one's a little.
Please.
Yeah, that's a forever mistake.
Yeah. But bye Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Kaboom. But if you blow up a certain section of something, there's always a way to to fix whatever that is. Even if it's I learned through this process that I was going through. Oh, shit, that was a huge mistake. But, no, it's not. We can do it this way and stuff, because there's always a way to maneuver around things and learn things. And then all those things that you learned in that first process or that first go around, the second go around, you're not going to do it.
No.
You know?
Right. And that's with everything. That could be learning to play piano. That could be doing something on a loan for the first time.
Yep.
That could be, and I feel like it's because I've had enough of those screw ups that I used to get really anxious because I don't want to screw stuff up.
No.
And when I screw something up and it's going to cost some money, or I do go to, I'm getting fired. All right.
Yes.
I can't believe I just made that mistake. I didn't know any better.
Exactly.
And that is part of the process of learning.
Yeah.
And failure is rarely, unless it's a nuclear button,
yeah,
fatal.
Yes.
That's part of the learning process.
Exactly.
You have to fail to progress.
Exactly. And if you don't, living in your little bubble, you're not going to succeed in life.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
You know?
Well, and I have a pretty firm, right. I re-examine and make sure that how I'm doing life, I feel like I'm living, I don't know if correctly is the right way to say it, but just in my values and in accordance with good.
Yeah.
And the best way for me to do that is exposure.
Yeah.
Right. I got to challenge my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta challenge my beliefs. And if I am not willing to step out of my bubble
mm-hmm.
and go experience things, and it might be a failure, it might be terrible, it might be beautiful, it could range all over the place. But how do you know unless you experience? Exactly.
And then the other thing on top of that goes back to, this person is going to be so mad at me. This person, I learned through some of the cognitive behavioral podcasts and mindset things that I've gone through with a few people. One of my friends, Stephanie, for instance, that sometimes we have in our brain that Brandon thinks I suck at this.
Oh yeah.
Or, that person hasn't called me back or emailed me. What did I do? Are they mad at me for something I said? Right. I mean, we all go through that. And so I have been trying very hard to pull myself out of that feeling.
Yeah.
And understanding that things happen, and there was one like last week that I texted somebody and I'm like, they didn't text back for like 2 days. And I'm like, how did I make them mad? Cause you go to that and it's like, right. She ended up being really sick.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, okay, just because somebody doesn't call you back, it doesn't really necessarily always have to do with you.
Right. Well, and I set everybody up. I always say I have the best of intentions. But if I don't text you back, just know I probably read it while I saw your text come over while I was driving, and I meant to go back to it, but then the alert wasn't there anymore, and so
then you just forgot.
20 other things happened, and I forgot. So never feel like you can't ping me again.
Yeah,
because believe me, it's not intentional.
Yeah.
But we do, and I forget the statistic, but it's something like 90+% of the stuff that you're worrying about, that you're projecting, that you have anxiety over,
it's needless.
It's needless. You're going down paths that you're making up in your head that don't actually exist, and just yeah.
I'm a creative thinker sometimes, so it's it's one of my superpowers.
Okay, so this is totally going off on a different track, but you mentioned it earlier, and then you just said podcast, and so I have to touch on this. You like the true crime stuff?
Oh gosh, yes. It's like I almost wore my East Idaho News T-shirt that says something along the lines of my goal, in life is to not be headlined on East Idaho News, and I got it for the Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, like at the beginning, he was selling them. So, so I was like, oh, I gotta have.
You gotta have one of those shirts.
Yeah, I'm a Nate fan.
Well, and it's one of my favorite things, because you'll have an update every once in a while. Oh, this one's going to trial next week, and this is happening, and half the time, I don't think I've told you this. Half the time, I'm like, I have no idea what she's talking about.
You need to get on top of it, because this is crazy, wild stuff, Yeah.
I just know that it's some crazy crime that just happened, that somebody's doing something, and I'm just gonna nod and say, yeah. No, we have a friend, Deborah, and we kind of connected, regarding that and stuff. Yeah.
And I'll call her and say, did you listen to this one? This one was really good. And then she'll call me and she'll go, I cannot believe that can you believe that somebody, and I'm like, no, and then I have another friend that lives in, Marcy, that lives in Boise, and it's the same thing. She rolled by the courthouse on, when it was in the first court date in Idaho itself, and she took a picture and she sent me it, and she goes, it's kind of crazy over here. Yeah,
it's a little bit of a zoo.
Anyways,
so I'm curious what you enjoy about it, because my quick comment before that is, we went and saw a movie a couple weeks ago, and it was the one with Pattinson, where he keeps getting cloned, and he goes out and does all the dirty jobs that in outer space. So like he's losing his hand, and then they're just letting him float off, and then they reprint his body and re-download his consciousness, and then he goes on.
Horrific.
It is, right? It's
like
terrible.
Groundhog Day, only on steroids.
On steroids. And she goes, why do you like this? I'm like, well, it's fantasy. It's kind of nice to not have to touch the stove.
Truth.
I want to be. It's nice to get scared at a scary movie, or experience extreme joy in a beautiful movie, or whatever it is, and not necessarily have to go through all that shit myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining that that's part of why you like the true crime stuff.
Why the hell do you like true crime? I think it's because, so back in the day, I can say that because I'm over 50. Back in the day.
Is that the demarcation line?
It is completely.
I can't say that yet.
No.
Okay.
No. And it happens like instantaneously too. I just want to make sure you know that. Okay. Anyways,
all of a sudden the light goes off. You are free to move about the country.
That's right. Yeah. And say whatever the hell you want. No. So, when I was younger, I kind of wanted to get into criminal psychology.
Oh yeah.
Because it fascinates me why people think the way that they do, and you know, and what creates that. And I kind of, throughout the years of just watching some of these things, and a lot of them are the ones where they're cheating, and then, you know, and all of this stuff happens, and then they decide, I'm just going to off this person because I know I can get away with it.
I'm special. Exactly. I can get away with
completely. There's a lot of narcissism in that, right?
I'm actually convinced I probably could get away with it. You guys are lucky I'm not crazy.
Well, Joe's smiling over there. He's like, let's talk and compare notes. So, oh my Lord. In the years that I've watched it, it's kind of the same scenario where our brains are weird, right?
Oh,
and you can program your brain basically to do anything you want it to do.
Yeah.
And I think,
we create our reality.
Yes.
So you can absolutely program your brain.
And trauma can actually enforce that. Like
For sure.
if something happens where you're like, for instance, somebody that is cheating. Well, she doesn't, or he doesn't treat me right because, they don't rub my feet every night or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, well, she ate my potato chips. So, it's just like
just weird little,
and it just progresses because you're basically giving yourself a passage. And I feel like it just kind of creeps up on you. And the more that you accept things that are not necessarily ethical or moral, you know what I mean? It gets easier and easier and easier for you to accept it and make excuses.
To justify
for how you're feeling,
right?
And what you're doing, and
well,
I think
it's kind of what you were just talking about with the texts, right? Like, oh, that person didn't text me back because I said so. You end up putting this thing out there that isn't true, but you've made it true.
Yep.
And then everything that subsequently happens with that person reinforces.
Yeah.
Oh, they did take my potato chips.
Exactly.
That just shows that.
Exactly. Then you move to the next level, and it's telling people what you feel in your brain. And I honestly believe that sometimes people really do believe wholeheartedly what they're saying is complete truth.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But they will tell people like, oh, she was, and they'll go to the next level, or he was cheating with a friend of mine, or blah, 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 like all of these lies.
Yeah.
To make them look better in their own eyes.
Well, and
it
reinforces. So if you can get other people on board, then you're justified because everybody sees it.
Yeah. And I always thought, okay, so the gaslighting that happens, it's all because of me, or destroying me. But in reality, it's making that person feel better about what they're doing, their actions and stuff like that. So I feel like even some of the true crime, if you watch it, you see the escalation of that behavior where ethics are thrown, morals are thrown out the door, but it's because they completely 1000%
feel justified,
that they're justified and what they're doing is the right thing to do.
Right.
And that's why I like I like it.
Well, and it is, you start to see the patterns between, this guy chopped up his wife. This person over here poisoned their husband. Whatever the stories are.
Yeah. But they all connect in some way because there was a point. Unless you're talking about a complete serial killer,
right.
That's just that one is a complete difference.
Well, but even those are interesting, right?
Yeah, they
because
are.
Again, how no matter how crazy somebody's point of view is, I always take it as they got there for a reason. They're seeing reality this way because they had triggers, they had a trauma, they had whatever.
A lot of it is trauma.
Yeah.
Traumatic, very traumatic situations.
And how many of them, especially when it's a serial killer or something, it's like, oh yeah, they were sexually abused by their father and this and this and this. And then no wonder when they got out into the real world, they started seeing that same pattern everywhere else. And everybody wants to feel comfortable. So how are they going to control that situation? They're going to start killing prostitutes.
They're going to indulge in their whatever that is.
Reinforces their reality.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's okay to do that because I'm doing this and
right.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to the moral question and how everybody ends up having their ethics and their morals and their like where did you get the idea that that is the way to do the world?
And I think it's completely because you can literally talk yourself into believing anything that
Just
you
about
want
anything.
to.
Yeah.
When they talk about that, like if you want to be, you're here and you want to be over there in a goal, if you literally talk yourself like you're at that goal, you have a higher percentage of completion of that goal, the success. And that's, I think, and that's basically the reason why I listen to true crime.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I'm not taking notes, everybody.
I was going to say,
sure.
we are comparing notes afterwards because with all the camping trips you've taken, you probably know where to hide the bodies.
I do. Yeah. And my family's Italian and
oh yeah.
Yeah. With my Uncle Johnny being a deacon of a Catholic church, he also owned a flower shop back in the day. So I'm always like, I asked him and I'm like, you kind of part of the mob or something?
Yeah.
And
he denied it, of course.
Told me to kick sand or rocks.
He can't tell you.
No, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah. So,
okay. What's your favorite one? What's the one that just totally captivated you?
I think it's probably the Chad and Lori thing.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's because there was so many levels of manipulation and
give a brief synopsis for those of us that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm completely wrong, this is just based off of some things that I found in media and also from watching the trials. However, this is my own opinion, and you can go off and make your own. I had to make sure that
good. That was a good
bring that clause in there. Basically, in a nutshell, how did it start? So Lori met Chad in a he wrote books.
Okay.
Yeah. His literature is, in my opinion, not the most fantastic, but yeah, he writes books about the afterlife and the second coming and the day of,
Day of Judgment or
Okay. So
he's an end of times author.
Yes, an end of times. Thank you. Yeah. So, and he was also he started getting ready for, he's one of the preparers. And,
okay. Yep.
And so Lori is too. And Lori had a podcast as well. And,
quick pause. We're going to get
we're getting the doggies.
The fluffer nutter, as I like to call him, out of here. Hang on, you got to go. Go. Have you ever had a fluffer nutter?
No.
Hang on. Fluffer nutter is peanut butter and so he's the same color as peanut butter and marshmallows. We call him the fluffer nutter.
He is.
Yeah.
Now I'm just sniffing, so you can bring that all out.
Okay, sorry. Dog interruption. Okay. We're back. So end of times author, prepper.
Yep. And Lori, they meet at a conference, and then they start this love affair, and they have portals, and they can talk to each other in the portals. That's why it was making.
Oh, you were bringing up the portals earlier. Yeah.
I was like, oh, what kind of situation is this? And so Chad is married to Tammy, and Lori's married to Charles, and so the first portion of it, I believe. Charles, so Alex, her brother, is part of their little thing, their group.
Yep.
Charles ends up being, his life is taken allegedly in self-defense. Allegedly.
Yeah.
And we'll find out about that on Monday or Tuesday of
as the trial proceeds.
Whether or not, which she's defending herself, which is it's fun. Anyways, so Charles dies, and then the kids go missing, and they go off and get married in Hawaii, and they kind of stay there. And finally, Charles's sister kind of starts calling the FBI and doing all this stuff, ruffling some feathers. They go looking for the kids. And prior to this, no, it was after. It was after this. So then after that, and I'll get back to the kids, Tammy, Chad's wife, mysteriously dies.
Oh.
Yes. And then they so happen to find the children in the backyard, buried in Chad's backyard. Nefariously too. I mean, it was not pretty at all.
No.
Anyways, so they call her the Doomsday. Court TV calls them or the Doomsday cult mom or something like that. Yeah. So there's been, and then Brandon.
Oh, geez.
Which is her niece's ex-husband. His trial's next because there was an attempted shooting, and allegedly, I keep on saying allegedly, she and possibly Chad and Alex had something to do with it.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a lot of death.
There's a lot of death.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intrigue and
So, and I kind of got intrigued because I was so mad that somebody could do that to their children.
See,
it just irritated me so much.
I, as you're saying that, there's a couple of stories that popped into my head because I remember I grew up partially in Portland, and we'd go over to Bend, go over to the east side of the state, and there was a spot, and my grandpa and I would travel all over the time anyways. There was a spot where a woman had driven her children off the edge of a cliff and killed them.
Yes, I remember that.
And also in Oregon City, which is where my grandpa lived, there were 2 little girls that went missing. And I remember there being like a bunch of people that organized and went and searched the woods and couldn't find these girls. And then a home like across from the Fred Meyers, they pinpointed it to there, and they dug up the patio in the back, and the guy had buried it.
There it is.
It's like, how people that hurt their kids or other people, like the kid thing, if I've got another thing with an adult cheating, okay, again, it kind of comes back to the you do you until you hurt somebody, and you're adults, you're making adult decisions, tempers flare, whatever.
Yeah.
Still not good.
No.
But
to do this to your kids.
But to kid defenseless.
And your spouses too,
Yeah.
And that was, they both were found guilty for the kids and for Tammy.
Okay.
And Charles, they're having the trial now, and then Brandon's will be next.
So they're already going away for forever.
We're
just putting the icing on the cake.
They're absolutely there for life, and which I'm glad they're putting the icing on the cake, because you see so many times that people get out on a technicality.
Right.
Now there's a little bit more holding them there, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Right.
I was really afraid of her, defending herself, but the judge is doing a really good job at helping that process through, and probably one of the better judges that I've seen. So.
Yeah, that's always good. And regardless of guilt or not guilt, when you're defending yourself, I always feel like there's more often than not the judges that almost make an example of you for defending yourself, where I don't know all the terms and everything else, but right, like I object. Well, you can't object now. Okay, well, I don't know what the rules are, but I should be able to defend myself. I shouldn't have to have some person that, and this comes from self-experience, where my father-in-law, he wanted to go up on the stand, right? It was his trial, and his attorney talked him out of it. And I mean, forever afterwards, my father-in-law said, no, I should have gone with my gut, with my intuition, and I should have been able to get up there to tell my story.
But when you defend yourself, the thing that you cannot do is testimony. So you can testify at the very end.
Okay.
But you can't do you can't testify within your questioning. So then sometimes you can open up a can of worms too.
Right.
And she's done that a couple of times in this. And you're like, oh, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Now it
this
doesn't
is when
hurt
you
my
should have
feelings.
gotten a public defender.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the judge has done a really good job of going, are you sure you want to go down that path?
Oh yeah.
In making sure that she understands the repercussions, because if she asks one wrong question, they can fly in.
Yep.
And so that's been really interesting. She's actually done, hate to say this, she's done a decent job.
Yeah.
I have actually seen attorneys do worse sometimes.
Yeah.
But you can definitely tell that she doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And my favorite, and if you watch anything, Charles went on a date night before he was murdered, or excuse me, allegedly murdered.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is, yes. She questions this lady, and it's more like a person questioning another woman over going out on a date with their boyfriend or husband type style.
Right. Instead of an
like,
actual
yes, there was a lot of objection.
Leading the witness.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't really necessarily see where you're going with this. Right. Is this truly something that is important for the trial?
Did you like the way he smelled?
Yes.
Objection. That has nothing to do
Did you ask him if he was a good kisser? Yes. So
yeah, that's wine talk rather than court talk.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably, when I say it's one of my favorites, I wish it didn't ever happen.
Of course.
How about that?
Of course.
But I'm glad to see that our judicial system in this situation is doing a good job at making sure that people like this do not see the light of day.
Yeah. Is that a weird side thought, is as you're listening and watching all these and going, these people walk among us?
Oh yeah. We were just talking, Joe and I were just talking this morning, like, we go to networking events and stuff like that. All the time. And I was like, we were talking about a situation with somebody, and then I said, I look around and go, who in this crowd has good intentions and who has bad intentions?
Right.
And you just don't know, because there's a lot of people that go to networking things, and I've been stalked before, so I'm always like, okay, who's, if they get too overly friendly, I'm like, and I kind of pull back, like the Seattle person, like you were talking about, just kind of, and she proceeds backing up left stage and does not return.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, and you have to have that radar up.
Yeah. I hate to say it this way, because I usually don't, I don't do this, men, woman type style thing, but women have to be even more so careful of the true intention of whomever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a reality that it's like the cliches, right? Like, okay, I know that exists for a reason, but until it actually impacts you, you don't understand.
No.
And I've always thought of my wife as very strong, independent. Like, I'm not really worried about Rachel. She's pretty self-aware and knows her surroundings and can take care of herself. And then we had boys. I'm like, boys are boys, right? So we go to the park and I'd let them run, and I'm watching my phone doing whatever. Or when I'm a good parent, I'm actually engaging with them. But then, man, having a little girl, I am so hyper aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
We were just at the park last weekend, and I'm like, I didn't take my eyes off of her.
Yeah.
Because you got this cute little
mom.
blonde, and I'm like, somebody could snag her and run.
Yeah. That's how I was with Jazz as well. And people were like, you're too much. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Because in this day and age, no. And so far it's worked, and I let her do things. Like, I mean, she experienced more than most children do, from, fishing on the confluence in Lewiston, Clarkston area, to going camping in the middle of the wilderness, past Meadow Lane Falls. And she's experienced a lot, and she's been able to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But she always had me by her side to make sure that everything was fine.
Yeah.
She was 5 years old, shooting off guns and blowing up crab apples.
I love it.
So she got to experience. I wasn't that much of a, a helicopter mom, but I was when it came to being places. Like she had to be in my sight at all times.
Yeah.
And I was the same way with my nieces too. And when I had all, like, you know, when 3 of them were younger, we used to do a lot more. And so I had to have my daughter and the 3 others. And I was literally spinning like a helicopter because I was like, okay, which one is which and stuff. And Gracie, little butthead, she would like hide intentionally, and then she'd snicker, and I'm like, don't be doing that to her, because it's just the anxiety, you know.
Where'd she go? Like, she's doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
Now.
So yeah, I think that's fine. Keep on doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because again, there is that difference there. It's a more dangerous world for women.
It is. Yeah. I used to be invincible when I was like 18 to 30, I think.
Yeah.
Man, some of the stuff that we did, I should have been on one of those true crime episodes. I'm serious. So there was one time that my friend Vicky and I, we went over to Montana. We're in the middle of nowhere, and we see this gold panning society thing, or whatever. Yeah. So we go in and stuff, and we get out, and we're like, we can't do it here because we're not members of this, you know, society. And so this guy comes up to us, you know, nothing to worry about, right? And says, well, we can have people. So if you'd like to do, and I'm like, sure. And I'm thinking to myself in retrospect, like years later, like, there was a lot of places to hide our bodies. But luckily, the guy actually had a huge, him and his wife had a huge RV, and or like motorhome, not an RV, Clark, but like a motorhome.
Yeah.
And it had a safe in it, and he brought out this huge piece of gold that they had mined from like Australia or something like that. I can't remember. It was someplace exotic. Anyways, so, and then they gave us all the stuff and gave us pointers and tips and stuff. And we had a vial of tiny pieces of gold and stuff like that we left with, and we didn't die.
And you didn't die.
I did not die.
Yeah.
That day. So, and then there was another time I was with my friend Amy, and we were in Seattle, and I'm like, let's just drive through this alley to get where we're going. Nothing's going to go wrong. And I saw this guy running out a door with a gun in his hand. And I looked, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I literally waved at him as I'm going like this to lock my door. And he waved back. and my friend Amy is like, why did you do that? And I said, I don't know, but I saved our lives.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I totally did.
Yeah.
I was a rock star.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Well, and if you stay calm and just.
Hi,
guy with the gun. How are you?
Like, do I know her? Like, it was probably one of those
you probably
things.
Threw
like
him
I was
off.
like, it's like, what the frick, you know?
Yeah.
And so I've had some of those experiences when I was younger, and I told Jazz, I was like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Because there were literally times that I placed myself probably in a very horrible situation.
On that note, I'm curious, you did branch life for a while. Did you guys ever get robbed?
I did not.
You did not. Okay.
No. However, a very large bank in town. We had to lead from the lobby, and we had our little clipboards and stuff. And
somebody comes in and what can we do for you today?
I was a complete lobby whore, by the way. And so I'm in there engaging with people and stuff like that. Lots of eye contact and everything, and everything's fine. It is a very large banking center, 2 entrances to it, and I completely had control over things. Jasmine. She's called me twice, and I think she probably texted me too.
Mom, what are you doing?
Yes.
Mom.
Anyways, so I am sent to another branch.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I leave 2 days later. Nobody's leading from the lobby.
Oh no.
And they get nailed. And it was this poor, beautiful, wonderful person that was pregnant that ended up, and the guy had a gun. And so, so my bosses called and said, what do you think happened? I was like, nobody was in lobby more than likely.
Yep.
They said, yeah, they were not effective. They were looking at the videos and saying they're not effective.
Yep.
So to answer your question, then I did have one other time a guy was coming in. There was this bad hair bandit that was going in Spokane, and,
Yes.
and it was a gal.
Okay.
And she would wear these crazy wigs and stuff like that and go through. Well, she had a little minion, a little partner there.
Yeah.
And the little partner walks in, and he's got a trench coat, leather jacket on, and I could see something was in his hand like this, and I'm like, okay, here it comes. And I just stared at him. And a guy that used to work there was at my desk. I was like, I think that guy's gonna rob.
Right.
So he turns around and he stares at him. I grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I start writing. And I'm doing this because I'm writing down the characteristics.
Yeah, description.
But he looks at me going like this and doing the stuff. And he turned around, walked out the door, and he went conspicuously around this Rite Aid that was in our parking lot.
Yeah.
And he went 3 blocks down. Somebody picked him up.
Really?
Yeah. And he had his car in the Albertsons parking lot across from us. So it was completely going to happen. And a couple of days later, they were both caught.
Nice.
And it was all because of my team and how diligent we were.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was just like, and I wasn't in lobby that day, but I always watched everything. Right. And I would look up and smile and wave or whatever, even if I was with a customer.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think that it makes a huge difference.
Oh, for sure. Well, that's what is it? Prevention is worth a pound of cure. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, just you having that. I'm going to stare you down and let you know that I'm watching.
Eyes. I have Hillyard. I'm not even kidding you. Like it is a thing. I swear.
Yeah.
Like, I've had people approach me and I'm just like, I just give them the eye, and they're just like, I don't know what it is.
You can see their soul or something.
Yes, I'm hypnotizing them, and they're like, she's a bad bad deal written all over here. So yeah, yeah, and I'm definitely one of the neighborhood watches. Diligent individuals, along with my across the street next door neighbor, which is the same age as me, and her husband went to school with me, and Joe and I were kind of like the people that just walk out. What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? What you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I turned into a totally different person.
That's good.
Yeah. I would go from professional Jen to I don't even know how to explain me. I'm like
vigilant.
Okay. We're going to go with that.
Yeah.
More like militia Jen. Yeah. So that's the reason for my nickname Hillyard. I had 2 people. One bought me a Hillyard, I'm from Hillyard shirt. And then another one bought me one that said my nickname is Hillyard. So
that's so good.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. Okay. A couple questions that I have floating around, and then wherever you want to take us.
Okay.
How have you seen the area change between? Because I still think that relationship and one-to-one and the connectedness within the community is probably not. I mean, that's foundational to here. But how else has it, or how hasn't it changed?
It's changed. I feel like people are not as sensitive to each other anymore. In my neck of the woods, we had 2 casinos on each side of us, and I'm not saying anything bad about casinos, but 2 on both sides. And we do have people going, if they get kicked out of one, they go to the other, and they're back and forth. I've seen a very, very large increase in crime.
Okay.
In fact, we're Amazon driver. They must have been looking for somebody last night because one of the subcontract pulled up into our driveway, and I hear whoop. So I look out the window and I'm like, what is this person in our driveway? This is last night, by the way.
Oh, geez.
And all of a sudden, three patrol cars are Yeah.
Yes,
So I have 3 cops
and somebody in your driveway.
It's so great. And I got neighbors calling me like,
what's going on?
What did Joe do? You know, just kidding.
Poor Joe.
And anyways, we feel like they were looking for somebody because shortly after that, we heard the helicopter, and it wasn't a military. I can tell the difference between military and commercial.
Yep.
And then from living out by the base for so long. And then we heard more sirens everywhere. So we're pretty sure they were looking for somebody.
Yeah.
And that vehicle might have matched a profile or a prescription. Yeah. So the guy comes up and I was like, I did not know that our lights that we ordered were that important to have
a police escort.
A police escort. I was like, and I'm feeling pretty important right now. And he didn't think it was as funny as I did, but I was like, oh, you'll laugh about it later. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But we hear them all the time. And we actually got a grant from the state of Washington for to help victims of gun violence, specifically for Airway Heights. So that gives you kind of an idea. Downtown Spokane has definitely changed a lot in the last 8 to 10 years.
In what way?
To the worst. It's there's a lot. And I feel, so when I say this, don't think I'm cold and heartless. Like I feel bad for the people that are on substances. They're trying to medicate themselves for some reason, but I think we've done an awful job at trying to figure out what can we do to help this epidemic, because it literally is a huge problem, and it's creating a disservice to them by just saying nothing to see here. Let's just let them smoke their whatever meth out of aluminum foil on the street, in front of children, or, contaminate us with fentanyl. I feel bad for them. So don't get me wrong when I say this, but we do have to do something because it is affecting the quality of life for every citizen of Spokane and Airway Heights and surrounding. And so that's
well, and that kind of ties back to world's not as kind to women, right? And so Rachel's got a gig where she could either work in Coeur d'Alene or they have a spot in Spokane. And I'm always way more worried when she goes to Spokane. And
absolutely,
it's so weird to be within 40 minutes of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene.
Complete difference.
It's completely different because in Coeur d'Alene, I could leave my keys and my wallet and everything up on the dash with a sign that says "Take me."
Yeah,
and nobody's going to do any. I don't see homeless in Coeur d'Alene.
No,
I don't see nobody smoking stuff on the side of the street. Like
because
none of that exists.
They don't have tolerance for that, and there's a difference between compassion and tolerance.
Yes.
And you have to have boundaries on tolerance.
Well, it's the healthy boundary thing.
It is absolutely. And I think our society has lost track of that in some ways because we're too worried about people's feelings when we should be more worried about their mental health and the stability of our communities.
Yeah.
Because it's sucking the life out of our pocketbook as well.
Yeah.
And they're asking for more and more and more and more and more. And my property taxes went up $773 this year.
Gosh.
It's a lot of money.
That's brutal.
And they're saying it's going to go up again,
Right.
And there's people that these poor people that are trying to own a home and work really hard and stuff like that. They may be one increase away from bankruptcy. Yes. They're living paycheck to paycheck. And we are asking too much of our citizens to, we're tired. Let's just put it that way.
Point. One of the stats that my father-in-law used to always throw out was that people who declare bankruptcy wouldn't have needed to if they had made an extra $300 a month.
Absolutely.
So when they're raising your property taxes or, hey, let's add another 5 cents to the gas tax or whatever it is.
Let's do Frank Dodd and exponentially raise minimum payments. That hurt a lot of people. I'm not saying, they got themselves in that position and I get that.
Right. There's that.
Completely.
Yeah.
But when they're one step away from that, you just pushed them over the edge, you know?
Yep.
And this is the same thing with overtaxing. And I think Washington State is a prime example of overtaxation.
Yep.
I'm waiting for a Boston Tea Party.
Yeah, let's
or a Boston. Yeah.
From we could do that in the Puget Sound, go down to Seattle and just start chucking stuff in the harbor.
And no, I feel sorry for the fishies.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Okay.
We'll find. I know where a couple IRS buildings are. Maybe we do some domestic terrorism.
Whoa! No,
should I not put that out there?
You probably
don't
should
come
not
after
put
me.
That. Nope.
Just kidding.
Nope. And don't come after me because I absolutely do not believe that that's a good idea. Anyway, so
you're now guilty by association, Jen. I'm taking you down with me.
Yeah, it's not the first time. No, like all jokes aside, you guys, I just think that we need to do a better job at holding people accountable in office and having our budgets a little bit more budgeted and stick to that budget and
like you do around the kitchen table.
Yeah, and it would be really nice for us on the west side to get, or the east side of Eastern Washington to get a little bit of that funding. And
that like sweet tax revenue.
Yeah, and I'd like the North-South Freeway to come in before I, can't drive anymore.
I was going to say, do you think you'll see it before then? Maybe.
Who knows? They're making progress, so that's good to see.
And it is beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
Right through Hillyard too.
It does. Yeah. It'll be nice to get down to different places, and everybody's like, it goes to nowhere, and I'm like, actually, no, it doesn't, because there's specific spots where you can go, and Northside needed someplace other than Division, which is a
cluster.
It's just a cluster. And So
it'll be really nice, and it'll bring. I mean, that's going to help people be able to move. It'll bring money. It'll bring jobs. It'll bring all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of how we need to start looking at it. And we could make demands. We just have to do it in a productive manner.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to figure out. How do we demand better mental health? How do we demand better budgeting by our state?
Yeah.
We're millions of dollars in the hole.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're saying, oh, we need it from you. No.
We
are, we've got the FMLA, we've got the long-term, we got the long-term retirement stuff.
Did that end up sticking?
Yes, it did.
I'm so glad I live on the Idaho side.
I don't even know how much is taken out of my check, but
it's
quite a lot.
It's a fair amount.
Yeah.
That's always gross. When that originally came through, there was a way to opt out, but you had to buy your own private long-term care.
Yeah.
And so I got it for, nothing.
Yeah.
But then when I moved over to Idaho, I dropped it.
Yeah.
And now I don't think you can opt out. So if I move back into Washington, I'd be stuck.
Yeah. And some people can't even use it, and they're paying in. And I think that is disruptive, and it's not, it's so insane.
Nonsensical, because I think the max lifetime expenditure is something like $30,000 or $40,000.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in a long-term care facility, that's like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And this thing that you paid into your entire life, you benefit for a couple months.
And Washington State is the one that is the overseer of the funds too. And I think it's really overstepping the boundaries of democracy.
Yeah.
And it's heading more towards socialism.
Yeah.
And I'm not a socialism fan.
No.
Anyways.
Doesn't work.
No more politics, because
okay, so then let's my next question is, we've got background. What is life like currently, and what do you want it to be in 2, 5, 10 years?
I want to win the lottery. I'm
Yeah.
trying really hard on that. I see myself winning the lottery. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah. So
just live in that energy.
It's like that one step. Today, I'm feeling a lot calmer, better. I feel a lot of happiness, even through some of the pain,
Yeah.
but you just kind of have to, live with both. I see myself being able to enjoy my daughter, my grandbaby when time comes.
Yeah.
My grand fur baby, Juno. And of course, Joseph. And I see myself being able to experience more. I love to get out and drive and waste our gas, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm not an electric person, by the way. There are
Yeah.
people that can. That is fine. There is a balance, but I want to go a little farther than an hour and a half. And then have to spend
charge
3 hours waiting for a charge. Anyways, for me, I see myself maintaining where I am right now. I don't want to go any further in career.
Yeah.
Unless the right thing came, like, then I would look at it.
Yeah.
But I am content.
It's a good word.
With doing what I do.
Yep. And you're so good at it.
I don't know about that.
You are. Yeah.
But as I'm getting older, the career thing doesn't really.
That's not the motivator.
It's not the motivator. Right. A balanced life, work-life balance,
for sure,
and happiness, and getting out and being able to enjoy today, and tomorrow, and living life to its fullest.
Yeah, that's so good.
As healthy as possible.
Yes.
Yeah, minus the fact of the wine, but
I mean, that helps.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's antioxidants and all the other stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's good for you.
And it's good for your heart too.
It's good. See, I should be drinking more
it's
wine.
Red wine. I know you should. Speaking of which, holler out to all of Brandon's fans. He needs to go today and get himself checked out a little bit, because he had a little heart thing.
Yeah, I may have had the paramedics out last night.
Yes. So I think that
well, then maybe this will be the last episode. And
Jesus,
where'd Brandon go?
See how? Okay, so
no,
okay. He's
just
talking about
uncreate that. Get rid of that.
Talking about IRS buildings and doom and gloom over here, and I'm like, dear Lord.
This is a side of Brandon I've never seen before.
I do not embrace that theology, just so it's out there.
That's terrible.
Yeah, but that's it.
That's good. That's so good.
That's just Jen.
That's just Jen. Well, and speaking of just Jen, is there anything that we didn't explore that you want to explore? Something about you that you want to express?
Jeez, expression. I think I just comment at the end of the day. I believe that you should live your passions, be kind to others.
Yeah.
Do not give up on your beliefs, but also embrace other people's beliefs.
Yeah.
And just have fun living.
I love that. Well, and that's so good, because my last question actually is, if you had a megaphone that could reach everybody, what would you say? And that's exactly it.
Get the F all over, or get the F. How do I say that? Because I can't say the F word.
I mean, you could. I'll put the explicit label on.
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah. Done.
Okay. So we can do that.
Yeah. Pretty sure I used it earlier too. So.
Got it. I had it too. And it's gone. Well, no, that's too Gen X-y.
Oh, but lean into that, Hillyard girl, Gen X lady.
Yeah. Just be a hard fucking worker.
Yeah.
And understand that the world doesn't evolve around you. and start thinking outside of your little bubble and be kind.
And be kind.
Just be fucking kind.
Yeah.
Okay, you can beep those out.
Oh,
Okay.
no, those are staying in.
Oh, great. Oh, my nieces aren't going to be able to watch this.
Okay, all right. For them, I'll
yes.
beep.
So Mariah, just at the end is one of my nieces, and she has a whole entire list of things you cannot say. And over the years, it has changed a little bit, and then things are added. And I'm like, I can't say this, but I can say this.
Yeah, what's up?
She's like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't understand your list. You know, we just all like, she makes me happy. All of them do. And my daughter. So
that's so good.
Speaking of which, I should probably call her.
Oh yeah, you should call her.
She called me a couple of times, and I think she might have texted me as well.
Yeah. Well then we'll end this episode so you can get over to Jazz.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. This has been an absolute treat. And
it was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was a little nervous, and I didn't even need a mimosa.
I know. Shoot, we should have done that.
That's, I know. I was going to actually get some, and I was running late this morning.
Oh.
So we're going to go over to just a quick free plug for Fisherman's Market and Grill.
Oh, that's right.
We're going to go over there and have some grub, and I'll probably have a sake.
That's a good idea.
It's a great day for a little hot sake because it's a little rainy out there.
It's a little
Yeah.
Something to warm the belly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And warm my spirits.
Yeah.
Since I was all Gen X-y at the end. All right.
All right. Thanks, Jen.
Bye.
Bye.
Woo.